Hello everyone, and welcome. Hello everyone. Oh god, I can hear myself. Oh god, I can hear myself. Oh god, I can hear my... Yikes. Sorry about the echo. And welcome to Tinfoil Tuesday. I hope you're all doing well. Let me turn down this music a little bit. Good music, though. I hope you're all doing well. Let me take a look at who's here. Of course, Baja Blast, as always. The Life of Mal, 8 Crimson 8. Son of Menodius. Hylian Derp. OCP, Captain Diabetes. Bailey Quinn, Dim 302. Junichi 3, Captain Diabetes. I think I already said your name. Thank you, Jeffrey Patron, for hosting me. The Mru Sama. RL 16777-216. The Life of Mal. Graham Dolfini, Sexy Baphomet, King Fanny Pack 1000, Grim Ghastly. Thank you for the 100 bits. Tinfoil Day. It is indeed Tinfoil Day. Don't forget, and I'll put this in the chat, since it is Tinfoil Tuesday, we're going to be doing Conspiracy Bingo, which should be very easy today because we're specifically looking at Hans Wormhat all the time. This is the Hans Wormhat stream, right? Okay, I'm gonna copy paste this in the chat for y'all. Now, bear in mind, once I put this in the chat, you need, and I cannot reiterate this enough, need to get your own bingo card because these are shared. So you need to go down to the bottom right and hit new, and you'll get a brand new bingo card that's your very own. And the first person who gets a Tinfoil Tuesday bingo will be gifted a sub by me if you don't already have one. And if you do have one, I'll put you on the list to get you one once your sub runs out. So make sure you're playing if that's something you're interested in. If not, fine, I get it. Thank you, aka Sorvitin, for following. Much appreciated. Jeez, why is my window capture not working? That's very strange. Let me turn that back on. Window capture, disappear, reappear. There we go. Much better. Oh good, the chat box is working again today. Hopefully Twitch isn't so fucky like it was yesterday. If we are here gifting 10 subs, damn, that's amazing. Thank you if we are here. That's fantastic. There's some thank you emotes. Woo. There's nothing funny about the God damn, that jar's filling up so quick already. Ooh, Rain Dean with 5,000 bits. Time for tinfoil. Let's do this. Holy shit, that's a lot of emotes. Dang. Thank you very much. Thank you, Untied Shoes 90, for following. How nice. By the way, for those of you who were here for the stream yesterday, I was trying to get Hans on, and I put a comment in his YouTube channel to try and get him to come on the show, and he deleted it. And some of you did the same, and he deleted those as well, so that's a shame. It doesn't seem like Hans will be coming on the show anytime soon. So at this point, I'm just hoping he makes a video about me and does some sort of weird transvestigation where he thinks I'm not trans, which would be very funny. What's going on?
You got a level 5 hype train going on. Love.
Oh shit, I do. Fuck. We all know what that means. Thank you if we are here for extending your subscription. Britter Mersank with 50 bits. Is it cheating if Baja Blast is on my card and I spam the emote myself?
It is cheating, but I'm here, so I'm being supportive.
Thank you, Dragon Hughes, also for following. You want to tinfoil me up? Baja Blast. Baja Blast. This is Baja Blast, my girlfriend. That's obviously not her real name. But
I think they mean, what does the square mean, Baja Blast? It means when I come and throw some, like, science-y knowledge at you.
Thank you, Jeffrey Petrone, for gifting yet another sub. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna try and reuse tinfoil as much as possible.
Okay. Reduce, reuse, recycle. That's what you want to be doing.
And,
Oh my god.
Wow.
With 100 bits, sorry I can't stick around, I'm working today, so I'll watch the replay later. Thank you, whoever gifted me a sub on Saturday. I didn't even notice until yesterday, because I'm new to Twitch. Keep on being amazing, Hannah. Thank you very much for coming to the stream nonetheless. I hope you enjoyed the VOD later. Devious Chillster, thank you for gifting 5 subs. Wow, thank you very much. Tinfoil me up. For those who don't know, on Tinfoil Tuesday, for every level of the hype train we reach, I increase my protection from the reptoids.
Andrew Dickerson said, I wish that was her real name, Baja Blast. Legally change your name to Baja Blast. See, I like my first name, and I really do prefer my last name to, like, Blast, but I did say to Hannah that when we get married, we could both just change our last names to Blast, and then I would actually be Dr. Blast.
Nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
That'd be a pretty rad name. Thank you, Gnome, for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Dr. Blast. Arenas 3 with 100 bits. Holy guacamole, I didn't think I was late, but we already funded Hannah's tinfoil fetish for the week. I think you funded it for the goddamn month. Jesus. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Very soon we'll get to the Hans goodness. Because not only does he have a YouTube channel, he has a BitChute account. So we'll see what he's got on there.
Which I found yesterday. I've been doing a lot of, like, investigation into Hans Wormhat. I thought I had found his Reddit account, but it was somebody pretending to be him.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Frenic31 with 100 bits. Being named Dr. Blast kinda obligates you to either be a superhero or supervillain. True. Bymancer, 200 bits. Thank you very much. God damn. If we are here with 1,000 bits.
Oh my god.
Loving these pride emotes, but my Hannah emotes are saying I'm not subbed to the channel. Aw.
Nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Ooh, we're almost at 300% of the hype train.
Yeah,
God damn.
I'm trying to do some, like, fancy things.
It's okay. You can do some legs too, even though they can't see it.
Yeah, but I gave you, like, cool shoulder pads.
I have, like, pauldrons.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like what the Time Lords on Gallifrey.
There's nothing funny about the tools of
That
capitalism.
kind of looking shit.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Ouch.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's just scratchy. I gotta get some more comfortable tinfoil.
Yeah.
Some clothing-rated tinfoil.
Well, I know that Balthazar is literally in the process of making you a tinfoil suit, so they give
There's
updates
nothing
every once
funny
in a
about the
while.
tools of capitalism.
That's fucking awesome.
How it's going.
Thank you, Abercham2006, for following. Looking like a hobo dinner. Frenic31 with 100 bits. Wait, are we earning Pride emotes for these bits?
Yes.
Yeah, Twitch is doing a promotion for Pride Month, I think. Sexy Baphomet, I'm cooking salmon. I hope your salmon's delicious. Are you cooking it in tin foil?
That's right, capitalistic propaganda. There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
You know, Hannah, you scoff at Jake's corn.
Yeah,
but
we talked about it on the video we recorded today.
you certainly chose the most complicated one, didn't you? God, I feel like I'm like feeling you up.
It is. It is what it is.
What?
You are feeling me up.
Oh, sorry.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
It's fine. Frenic31, 300 bits. Gib pride, please.
Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3.
Sexy Baphomet says, yes, I am, referring to cooking it in tin foil. Otherwise, the reptoids will smell it. True. Is Hannah a fish? 'Cause hot. Yes. I am, in fact, a fish. Fun fact.
I can't do this without your cooperation.
Why don't we tinfoil up the mic?
Why don't we finish tinfoiling up
Sure.
you so that I can go back out and force you
That's
to
right,
give me
capitalism
gifts
propaganda.
when mine runs out.
Gildred, thank you for following. Sorry, the mic's far away. I probably sound weird. There we go. Thanks.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I should just put on one of those reflective weight loss suits that don't work, yeah. I'd have to find one that goes on in pieces, though. I'm already starting to bake. Before you leave, can you turn the air conditioner up? Because I can tell this is gonna be a rough one.
Yeah. I know that Balthazar is making it so that the arms separate via like Velcro or what have you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They need to make sure to mark that package so that we know to open it
Mm-hmm.
right. Instead of saving it for one of your P.O. box unboxings.
Space elf. Oh, a little crown to go on top. Fantastic.
Oh, alright. I can't. You're gonna get a halo.
Okay.
Tinfoil halo. You got a crooked halo, which is perfectly fine. Okay, so... 3,
Wand.
5.
Someone says wand. A wand will be a part of it.
God, we're gonna have to start tinfoiling me next or something.
And once again, Maya is bored says, and once again I'll be falling asleep to your voice. Looking forward to weird dreams about whatever the conspiracy people are worried about this time. Yeah. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun one. Sushi Mom 10, I'm writing this message standing in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, you're at the beach with your kids today. I hope you're having a good time. Sky King 051808, thank you for gifting 5 tier 1 subs.
Shit, are they trying to do another hype train?
I have no idea. Thank you very much.
It's like, we're gonna run out of tinfoil.
Yeah.
There's nothing funny about the tools of
Let's
capitalism.
start tinfoiling the cats.
I don't know if the cats would like that very
No,
much.
They won't. They hate tinfoil.
Give me my wand! My
There's nothing funny
wand!
about the tools of capitalism.
Oh, yes. Look at this. This is fantastic.
I know I am.
Thank you so much.
There's nothing
you're
funny
the
about
one
the
to know
tools
what
of
they're doing
capitalism.
If they do another hype train.
What?
If they get another hype train during this stream, I'm gonna do something crazy.
Which is?
I'm not telling you, it's a surprise.
Okay. Well, I guess
I'll
we'll
tell
see.
you. I'm not telling them. Mute your mic.
Haha. You guys don't get. We'll see if that happens, I guess. Are we prepared? Are we prepared to go in?
We'll be prepared
Head
to
first.
turn this up.
Do I think Hans is watching? I very much doubt it. He seems like a very paranoid gentleman.
Oh no.
Hans equals Hannah. Wouldn't that be great, playing both sides? That'd be genius, frankly.
And you deleted your own comments as well as, like, your girlfriend's comments.
Yeah. I'm actually both myself and Baja Blast. I'm just moving so fast I can be in 2 places at once, like the Flash.
Oh, yeah, 'cause we look completely alike.
Yes. Now, let us begin! My plan has been foiled!
Oh, God, Hannah. Oh, Hannah. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go get you a hair tie and put your hair up, because it's gonna be a lot better.
Alright, thanks. This is fantastic. Is this what being gender fluid is? Yes. This is exactly the definition. Put me in the dictionary, Webster.
Hello.
Hello.
You're such a cutie.
Thanks. Once my hair's up, we will actually begin the conspiracies. I feel like a Hershey's Kiss.
I'll give you a Hershey's kiss.
Lovely. Alright, we all prepared? Now that I'm all armored up and ready to do battle against the Freemasons?
Freemason.
Yes.
Well, it's a Han stream, so free Martins. Treat my tinfoil princess well today, you guys. And if you get another hype train at some point during this stream, just know I've got some ideas on how to reward you.
Alright.
If you need anything, scream into the void.
Yep. If I miss whoever gets bingo first,
Oh, I'll be watching.
yeah, let me know. But I'll try and keep an eye out.
Tell them that they have to send the link to their card so that I can
Yeah,
verify.
you gotta send the link to your card, though, so we can verify that your bingo is correct. To make sure people aren't cheating.
Yeah, and if they want to make sure that I see it, at me.
Okay.
There's nothing
At
funny
Baja
about the
Blast, if you, get it. Frantic 31 with 16 bits. That has to be the most peculiar magic girl transformation sequence I've ever seen. True. Very true. I just gotta pull up the chat up on my phone, and then we're good. There we go. Let's turn this music down. And get to Hans. Hans Wormhat! King of the conspiracy theory. Let's see what we were gonna watch today by him. Because this is a Hans stream, for the record. And Hans deserves our full attention. Let's see. The zealotry of scientism. The Secret, explained simply. I started watching this one yesterday. This sort of goes over and explains his, like, ideas about gender and sex sort of succinctly. So I think we should do this one first, just so any new people can get a baseline as to what Hans believes in terms of why he thinks he's, like, one of the only men on Earth. And I'm not kidding. Altered Rin says, I recently watched the Kent Hovind debate with you and Jake. I wanted to punch my monitor so bad. Kent is such trash. I want to have a debate with him and play a Kent Hovind drinking game and drink every time he says one of his classic evolution is stupid things and just end up shit-faced at the end because there's no real point in debating him besides a laugh. Yes. Yeah, he's frustrating to say the least.
Hans Wormhat. In this video, what I want to do is I want to explain the secret, the big secret, and I want to explain it as simply as possible. It's not just boys and girls. And that's the big secret. There aren't just boys and girls. It's a little...
Now, at first this sounds good. Like, yeah, you're right. There are intersex people. There are people who are non-binary, if we're talking about gender. Yeah, you're right about that, Hans. However, he goes into not a good place with this.
little bit more complicated than that. It's not too much more complicated than that, but it's not just boys and girls.
If he's the only man, does he think that all the rest are trans? Yes. He thinks they're trans or intersex or both, because he conflates the two very often. I don't even know if he knows the difference, much less if he thinks it's right to distinguish the two, despite them being very different things.
All around you, your entire life, you've been surrounded by people who probably shouldn't just be defined as a boy or a girl. I believe that in the Bible, they are referred to as eunuchs, and especially eunuchs made in the mother's womb. And the eunuchs, are in control now. They have power now.
So his supposition is such that there used to be a minority of people in the world who were intersex. He calls them eunuchs for some reason, again, even though that word has a different meaning than the way he is actually using it. But he believes at some point this shifted, and the intersex eunuchs of the past, who were once the slave class, I guess in places like Rome, became the majority, and now are secretly controlling the world from a place of strength, since there's more intersex/trans people, because again, he conflates the two. Despite that making no sense, because frankly, if most people on the planet were intersex, I think we wouldn't need to hide it, right? What would the purpose be of that? It wouldn't make any sense to pretend to not be if almost everyone was.
That's the whole idea behind the tables have turned. The eunuchs used to be the slave class, and the normal humans probably used to be the rulers over them. But the tables have turned now.
Does he think eunuchs are able to impregnate people? I think so.
Been flipped upside down, and all the eunuchs have decided together to keep it a secret, to hide the secret, to burn books, and to bury the past, and to make a whole new world where there is no such thing as eunuchs. There's just boys and girls. Well, now they're going into crazy gender fluid stuff, but don't need to get into that now. The big secret is it's not just boys and girls. It's a little more complicated, but it's not too much more complicated. And in this video, I don't want to get into the minutia of the differences between all these things, because I have so many videos out here talking about the differences. It's just I want to come at this from a very simple explanation. There are people out there who were born with a penis and they have a male skeleton. This is the most rare by far. And
we have to talk about the bones!
The master plan is to eliminate the male. And a lot of people don't understand.
Britt Mersank says, that's not even right historically, though. Like, eunuchs weren't always historically slaves. A lot of them did it willingly to gain power within the palace above what they otherwise would have been able to, because it meant they couldn't impregnate the concubines and would be able to be around them safely. They were often trusted advisors and sometimes took power themselves. The fact that you think, like, your mistake here is assuming Hans knows anything about anything. The dude thinks volcanoes aren't real. He thinks volcanoes are a conspiracy. You can't think about this in linear, real-world terms. You gotta think about it abstractly. You gotta look through your tinfoil wand and see the world as it is, right? Just like Hans.
And that aspect of it, a lot of people, they talk about the total reverse aspect of that. A lot of transvestigators, especially, because they're gatekeepers, they will say, oh, it's a war against women, which is just really not true, because they use the women to breed. Probably the biggest thing is this category up here in the top left is the most rare by far. You will be hard-pressed to find somebody out there who has the bone structure of a male and who was born with a penis. Now this bottom left,
The bones! It's all about the bones. Let me measure your bones, I say, or else you shall not pass today.
corner is the most common thing that you'll see. I mean, maybe this and regular bio females. And notice how really what the free martin is, it's like a taller, larger version of the female. If you just look at these, see these connections?
Basically, he sees women who don't conform to traditional beauty standards. Women who might be tall or just larger or muscular or whatever. Anyone who isn't like a petite little snowflake. And he believes that that means that they are somehow intersex. Even, he's talking about cis women. Well, he's not thinking it's talking about cis women, but he does this to cis women all the time.
A real female looks like a free martin, just the free martin's been stretched out. And the Sawyer castrato looks just like a male, but usually they're a little stunted. And yeah, that's it. That's the big secret. There's actually 4 groups of people out there when you go outside. It's not the case that everybody.
What evidence does he have?
Men, you know, a man skeleton is a man skeleton, and a female skeleton is a female skeleton. The genitals that you're born with can be changed.
Oh, it's absolutely
And
phrenology-y.
so down here,
He
free
full-on
martins,
talks
they
about
often are
measuring
born with a penis.
bones.
But when they grow up, you will see that they have a female skeleton. If in your mind you want to just think that that person is male, you know, that's it. That's your decision, I guess. Just in with what I believe is the truth, is that up here you have, I don't want to say normal, but you have, I don't know, skeleton matching genitals up here, people, and these are the muggles up top. And then down here, we got the witches and the wizards and the eunuchs.
Wizard confirmed. Witch confirmed. The skeleton of a man you have.
And it's all flipped. That's the truth, as simply as I can put it. And
I identify as a warlock.
the witches and the wizards, they keep this stuff, they keep it secret. They gotta keep it like a secret. They treat it as a medical condition, and think of the way that people treat medical conditions. Think of the way...
Even if what he was saying is true, which it's not. Intersex people exist, but they're a relatively small portion of the population. But they do exist. It is a medical thing. Hans, what are you talking about? What do you mean it's treated like a medical thing? If what you're saying was true, it would be medical in nature.
The way that people would treat an intersex condition. It would be a secret.
Miss
that
K's
person
with
and
300
doctors,
bits. Happy Tinfoil
or
Tuesday.
priests,
Thank you very much.
staff in that religion. They keep it like a secret and they don't tell anybody. But there's enough of them out there that if you're in the club, if you're intersex, you know it because you get taught about this stuff. And the normal humans usually get left in the dark. And I guess now it's worth taking a pause, and I should just apologize here. The more you learn, the more things make sense and the simpler they get. If I could go back and redo everything, I would probably be a little bit nicer. Still, you know, making fun of people, comedy, making fun of it, it's a way to cope with things that are really painful. And that's one of the reasons that the inverts, they make jokes about it constantly. When you wake up, when you watch TV, you're like, you get so sick of it. Why are you guys constantly making jokes about it? It's coping. They're coping with the fact that they're inverted. And that, I mean, it's just their whole life, really. It's this alter. Think of Harry Potter again. Why is stuff like Harry Potter so popular? It's because
escapist fantasy is an incredibly popular genre, and children enjoy to imagine going to a magical school where they can be, you know, the chosen one and stop the dark wizard while also learning cool magical powers. Seems pretty simple, right?
it's an allegory for a life that these people truly live.
Oh, right, of course. People can only read things and enjoy things that directly relate to their lives, of course. Of course, Hans, that makes total sense.
They the inverts.
For instance, when I watch Jurassic Park, it's because I've cloned many dinosaurs myself, and it always goes wrong. So, you know.
Really do live in this Hogwarts reality where they understand the second meaning to the in-jokes. They throw the same hand signs to one another. They're speaking languages that other people aren't listening to.
Hans has this thing where he says people are having hand motions and stuff about wands. So I figured I'd just straight up show you my wand, which is this. Tinfoil, good conductor of my magic powers. Because actually, once you come out as trans, I don't know if you know this, you get witch powers. It's very fun. You should try it sometime.
They're swinging their magic wands around, but they just don't have a stick in their hand. And
There's nothing funny about the tools.
I guess
of
I started this
Shady Shroomery.
because
Shady Shroomy with 240
when
bits.
you see that,
Sneaky
I don't know,
stabbing.
I just don't really like calling them trannies all the time anymore. It's probably better to...
T-slur.
I mean, you've probably seen that. I really call them free martins and
Please
squire,
stop, Hans.
Desperado,
You're better than
that type of
this.
thing.
At least I wish you were.
They are born into it usually, so it usually isn't their fault. But they do end up going along with the system, and I've never seen one of these inverts dissent. I still haven't, because they have a very strong oral code. They don't write this stuff down. At least they don't typically write this stuff down. They write it down in allegories, and that's why fiction is so full of this stuff. The first rule of Tranny Club is you don't talk about Tranny Club. There I go.
I love when he quotes Fight Club, too, because I think it's telling that he missed the entire point of that rule of Fight Club. Has he seen Fight Club or read the book? The reason they make the first rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club is because they want you to talk about Fight Club. The first and second rules of Fight Club are literally telling you to talk about Fight Club. You had a bunch of people show up who are anti-authoritarian and want to pick a fight. And Tyler wants them to tell other people so they can recruit more people to be in Project Mayhem. Like, does he have any reading of a text, whether it be a movie or a book, outside of the exact words that are said? He understands that the first rule of Fight Club is there to get people to talk about it, right? Cool.
Same T-word again.
The second rule of Fight Club is also do not talk about Fight Club.
But yeah, that's basically it. This is what outside looks like. The jungle out there. And when you wake up, it's so simple. It's just so simple. Genitals do not determine gender. And I've had videos on this before, and...
Again, it's so strange, because he's right. Genitals don't determine gender, but he's right for the completely wrong reason. He's the perfect example of a broken clock is right twice a day. It's fantastic. God damn it, Hans. Why won't you come on my stream? I'm very official. Look at how decked out I am. I'm very shiny. This makes me official as fuck, right?
It's just the truth. It's more complicated than just your genitals. It's not just about whether you're born with a penis. It's not just about whether you're born with a vagina. Skulls and bones. There's a reason that it's called
the bones! We have to
Somebody
measure the
pointed this out to
bones.
me. It's actually really brilliant, and it's in your face. Of course, the truth is presented in plain sight. Notice how this leg bone looks different than this leg bone. Like, this has this part sticking out. This has this part sticking out. This one looks bigger. So maybe this is like a male femur, and this is a female femur. I'm not 100% sure. But then also the skull looks like half of it is different than the other half. Like, this looks like a larger cheekbone over here and a larger brow bone. So this half...
It's almost like your bones aren't perfectly symmetrical. It's weird.
Be a male skull, and this half would be a female skull. Skulls and bones, understanding human anatomy. Another thing, when you wake up, you realize in the media, they're always talking about people's bone structure, and it's because it is very important. It's
Free Martins are not Freemasons. They are a different thing. Free Martins, I think Baja was talking to me about this the other day, and how it's like if bull calf is born as a twin with a female calf, they are infertile because they were introduced to too many female hormones, and that's what that is. So he's calling, like, intersex and trans people that as a derogatory.
It's the secret. Look at the way that they're crossing their legs.
Oh, the reverse. My
like
bad.
Women, 'cause they
So
are
yeah,
women.
it's not Freemasons. It's a
Of course,
different
these
thing.
are photoshopped on, but look, we got the Illuminati, and we have a bunch of Freemartins. It's very simple. It all comes down to body proportion. This is why and body proportion to yourself. This Freemartin might have just as big shoulders as this male, but in proportion to itself, notice how it looks like Shrek. It just looks like Shrek to me. Because
You
everything
drew
in the
this,
media
Hans!
is
It's a drawing
inverted
you
so that they
made!
can hide in plain sight.
You know this isn't
Because
a real
from
person,
birth,
right?
You've just been bombarded by the eunuchs so that they can blend in. Please tell me that's not your penis. Is New Zealand's official quote of the year. Written
That's a
by
good quote.
Jess Hardyman. And of course, when you wake up, you learn all their little tricks, presenting you the truth in plain sight, and playing with the names, putting the boy name in with the girl name, the color orange, of course.
He thinks the
And then
color orange is a conspiracy.
and of course,
It's like
the
a
ever-present watch.
it's like a secret symbol for the
Thinking of themselves as the
Freemartins, according to
walkers.
him.
This is
I
a
don't
male.
think he's trolling.
And
I'm
you're
telling you.
So where would I guess this is there. It is more.
If
than
he's trolling, because he's done countless videos, and he's even putting them on fucking BitChute, by the way, which no one goes on fucking BitChute, right? We might cover some BitChute videos later. It's the most consistent Andy Kaufman-esque trolling I've ever seen. Like, even Andy Kaufman would be like, alright, this is going a little far, dude. Like, it's insane. And people, whether or not he is a troll, do believe him. If you ever look at his comment section, there are plenty of people who believe him. There are posts in the conspiracy subreddit about him and how people believe him. Like, I'm telling you, regardless of whether or not he is a troll, people take what he says seriously. Not a lot of people, but enough. It's insanity.
There's just four. Those are the four main classes, but then you got just the cross-dressers. I mean, this is just a dude has a penis. It's not a Swire syndrome. It's a dude who's cross-dressing. Cross-dressing is a big part of Babylon. This guy, this Freemartin over here, look, no neck, long neck. The reason you couldn't see it is because you were surrounded by it from birth, and nobody ever told you about it, unless you were one of them. Black and white checkerboard. Of course, Michael Obama on the Ellen Show. These are humiliation rituals. They put the secret out there in plain sight.
I'm just gonna tell you this. If Michelle Obama was trans, she's not. But if she were, she'd have a good tuck technique. I guarantee it. She wouldn't have it flopping around like this. She would be peak tuck.
Insight. It's part of their MO. It's part of how they operate. And it goes both ways. It's not just that there's a lot of quote-unquote women out there who have penises. Donald Trump absolutely has a vagina and has given birth naturally. From what I mean, look at these hips. They're enormous. Notice how they're always mocking and joking about, oh, small hands. You got small hands. What do they also always joke about? Oh, orange. Donald Trump is our orange president. What do you know? Orange 33. Quickly going into the medical aspect of it and the Satanist aspect of it, yes, a lot of these inverts they're Satanists, and proudly, and today they're even just out in the open. You can spend 10 minutes going through YouTube comments and you'll see people with Baphomet icons as their YouTube icon. But just look here. This is the main thing. Notice the medical staff,
Oh God,
or whatever you call
the
this,
Illuminati
serpents.
is
It's
here
right at the
because of
crotch.
the
Right at the
someone who
genitals.
used an Illuminati emote. They
It's
must
hinting
be
at this
actually
in-utero
real.
transgender or something.
This is Hans's
Black
logic.
Snake. It usually looks like a darker snake and a lighter snake, so they get the duality there. Male, female, black, white, up is down, good is evil. How are doctors related with this symbol? Here's your answer. Through the Baphomet. Your doctors are Baphomet worshippers, and they keep the secret.
Remember in medical school on the day that they tell y'all that you have to be Baphomet worshippers? That's a weird day. Made a real weird episode of Scrubs.
Doctors are inverted. They are eunuchs. They are priests of the Baphomet. Does this look like a man? You're asleep.
Yes! Yes, it does! He's the doctor from My 600-Pound Life. I think he specializes in, like, gastric bypass surgeries or something. Yes! He looks like an old man.
Sleep at night because they have short hair. That's literally it. That's the only thing that is masculine about this, is short hair. And that's how asleep we were. This is not a famous doctor, so I just want to show you
He's a bariatric surgeon? Gotcha.
It's really bad. These people are all around you. Look at the neck. Tracheal shape.
I want so bad to know what Hans looks like, because he spends so much of his time judging how other people look, which you shouldn't do in the first place, because it's just kind of a childish thing to do, and people don't really have a ton of control over how they look. And even for things they do like weight, you don't know why that person might have an unhealthy relationship with food, so it's not exactly fair to, like, ridicule someone or, like, make sweeping generalizations about them because of how they look. It's just generally not a good thing to do. And Hans does it fucking daily, so I'd love to know what he looks like, just for, like, the sake of irony, because something tells me he's not exactly what the incels would call a Chad. It's just a guess, but I feel like a lot of this stuff is bred from some kind of insecurity. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. Maybe he's out there looking like Fabio, but part of me kind of doubts it.
Doctors are such a big part of this because they require surgical procedures. And this is where, I mean, going back to the apology where I got kind of sidetracked. Is it fair to call somebody like this a tranny if what they are is a Swire syndrome, and what they're doing is they're using plastic surgery to pass better because they want to be a she, her? And it's also part of, they always lead the opposition. So they lead the opposition. The people who screech the loudest about, oh, I hate trannies, I've never ever come out and said the disgusting things that people say. I mean, I don't even want to say them, but I'll just say them so that I can say it. People try to say, oh, none of these trannies are going to be saved. They're all just doomed. They're all horrible
I
people.
thought that was
going to
be much worse. That's fine, Hans. Religion isn't for me anyway.
And I will never say that. And the only people saying that are inverted themselves.
I cast a spell of T-slur protection, so we are all safe from the awful T-slurs. We're okay, folks. I've cast my tinfoil spell, and we'll all be okay.
So I try to not be mean about it anymore. Really, you shouldn't be mean about somebody who has an intersex condition and they're using plastic surgery. I don't know, is using plastic surgery a sin? Maybe. It's very vain. It's vanity. Is not telling people about your intersex condition a sin? Probably, by the time you're getting in relationships with normal people. But
okay, but by your own logic, isn't everyone except for you almost secretly intersex? So aren't most people who are intersex in your worldview also dating other intersex people? So what business is it of yours?
Most of the people who are out there being very mean towards trannies
Oh,
or
God.
inverted
Almost
themselves.
like you should call him something other than that, Hans. Let's see what I got so far on this bingo sheet. Of course, we got the normal middle one. Oh, God. I don't think I have any yet. Okay. None yet from Hans. That's surprising.
themselves. When I was asleep, I was
He
very
didn't mention
gulag.
the
I thought that all
Illuminati,
this
though he
stuff was
did
fine.
kind of
I
get
mean,
satanic. So
seeing a
yes, if you have
tranny,
like
who now I would
Satanism
know
on
is
the
like a
board,
double tranny,
you can mark
going
that
back
one
to
off.
somebody with an intersex condition who wants to be the different sex, the different gender. I didn't used to, I don't know, have strong negative opinions. I just thought it was kind of a freak show thing. But now, when you know the truth, okay, what is it? Almost every single tranny out there, so somebody who's like, I used to be a man, now I'm living as a woman, almost every single one person who's like that. What
Did
it
he
is,
mention
it's a
forced
free market
sterilization?
who now wants to
Okay.
live as a woman. And I don't have a problem with that anymore. I don't think I support hormone therapy or surgery personally, but that's a choice they have for themselves, I guess.
The thing I don't get about transphobes is why do they think they get an opinion on whether or not it's right or not to get surgeries to confirm your gender identity? Why do they think their opinion matters? It doesn't. It's worthless. Literally throw it in the trash. I don't care what your personal opinion on it is. It's none of your fucking business.
But yeah,
That's one bad thing about social media. It's made everyone think their opinion matters in every case. And it just doesn't. It just fucking doesn't. Whatsoever. Thank you, Xenon Excitemer, for following.
it's going to be free Martins who are going to be the most outwardly vocal shaming transgenders. And now that I know the truth, now that I actually understand what's happening,
Does this count as the gay agenda?
common
I'd say
intersex
so.
conditions are,
I'd say so.
if somebody wants to go be their other gender, I don't have a problem with it. And I think that they can still be saved. Being saved isn't about whether or not you're a eunuch. It's whether or not you follow Jesus Christ and you seek after God and you want to do God's will more than anything.
Oh
That was
God!
kind of a tangent,
it's the Deathly Hallows.
I think I said a lot of things that were really important. Normal people, me, triangle plus line plus circle. You've seen so many people into this. This is clearly an alchemical symbol.
That's right.
The Elder
capitalistic
Wand,
propaganda.
probably male.
Thank
Obviously,
you, Tentacle
the
Todd,
circle,
for following.
Female, and then we got the triangle. Put them all together. It's some sort of hermaphrodite symbol, some sort of yin yang, male female. It's all around you. You've been surrounded by this symbolism, and they tell you to not take this stuff seriously. When you go to school, they try to tell you that symbolism, it's just for literature, and it's not something to be taken seriously. No, symbolism.
What? English classes are typically about looking at symbolism and themes and what they mean and how they work in literature. What are you talking about? Like, are you talking about the fact that your teachers probably didn't want you looking for insane conspiracy symbols in real life? Yeah, because that's paranoid and strange. It's not that it's not that they teach you not to do it. It's that there's no reason to do it. Because frankly, if there are secret organizations out there, they're not putting their logos on stuff. That's kinda how you stay secret, right?
Symbolism is all around you. Speaking in codes and colors and gematria, that stuff is very real. They just try to program you to think that you're a lunatic if you pay attention to orange or 33.
Yeah, and J.K. Rowling's a transphobe anyway, so this is incredibly strange.
We must keep our eunuch society hidden from the non-eunuchs. Why? I have the same question. Why? If you're pushing all this tranny stuff, tranny acceptance, transgender acceptance, why not just come?
I like that he's close enough that he can be like, man, this whole conspiracy I've constructed makes no sense. I wonder why they're doing it. He's so close to understanding that his entire worldview is bullshit. But so far away, and that's pretty impressive. Good on you, Hans. The delusion. It's like a brick wall, and I don't think it's ever going to come down.
Come out with the truth, not the skewed version of the truth. They're trying to sell a skewed version of the truth where anybody can be whoever they want to be, rather than
There's
telling you the
nothing funny
simple
about the
truth
tools
of
capitalism.
there's a ton
Xenon
of intersex people
Excitemer,
around
thank you for subscribing
Some
with
of them
Twitch
have
Prime.
decided that they want to go back. They don't want to be a free martin. They want to be a woman with a penis. And see, I don't agree with starting to chop parts off and all that kind of stuff. Personally, I think that it makes most sense if a free martin wants to live as a woman, but keep their penis and disclose. I mean, by the time you're keeping your penis, it's kind of hard to not disclose it by the time you're getting physical with people. So,
Hans, it's none of your fucking business. Why do you think your opinion matters anything to anyone when you have no experience of any of this? You also think the world is flat, so your opinion is already knocked down about 100 notches on the who the fuck cares scale. Your opinion is worth less than nothing. It's garbage. Shut up.
there you go. It solves itself. No muggles. No non-inverts are allowed to know the secrets of the inverts. Girls will be boys and boys will be girls. It's a mixed up, muddled up, shook up world.
Yeah, that's a lyric from the song Lola. You know, L-O-L-A, Lola. Lola, the song about a guy, like, falling in love with a trans woman. It's a song about someone... Yeah, that's what the song's about. You fucking idiot. What? It's like he's Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. He, like, looks at everything incredibly literally, but misses the point entirely at the same time. It's very bizarre. It's like he's like, I think this song Lola might be part of the transgender conspiracy, while entirely missing the point that it's a song about someone being with a trans woman. What the fuck?
In the 1950s, when men were men and women knew when to shut the... so of course the real saying is when men were men and women were women. Well, I'll tell you, it's been way longer than the 1950s, this in utero transgenderism thing. Look at the far, far apart eyes and the drag queen eyebrows. Those eyebrows so far away from the...
I'm sure the 1950s housewife would love you calling her eyebrows drag queen eyebrows. Jesus Christ, Hans.
eyes. This is a free martin, and this is a strat. Long neck, short neck, chubby, double chin, it's female. But just that, the quote, when men were men and women were women, they're joking about all these eunuchs. The cat is out of the bag. The orange cat is out of the bag.
Surprised you didn't find a
Maybe the little
Garfield
devil horns on
picture.
the hat sign.
As we all know, Jim Davis drawing an orange cat must be in on the
They've been hiding in
conspiracy.
plain sight this whole time. A lot of times the things that are very important to the inverts, they get brought up all the time. I remember many professors that would always bring up this expression, hiding in plain sight, or you can't see the forest for the trees. They would bring
Yes, these are idioms that are used to say, hey, sometimes the things that we're looking for are right in front of us all along, right?
this up all the time, and it's kind of an obscure thing to just bring up. This was brought up in a math class. Oh, you can't see the forest for the trees. Why would a math teacher bring that up?
Like, he's so literal. Why would a math teacher bring up trees? This isn't a class in arbology. Hans! It's an idiom in English! What are you doing? I'd like to cast a tinfoil spell of, like, understanding on Hans, so he can figure out what idioms are. That'd be fantastic.
It's because this is one of the ways that they can explain.
That is true. Garfield Eats is the favored restaurant of eunuchs. Very true.
To their children that, don't worry, you'll blend in, because they're all around you anyways. When they wake them up in stages. So when they finally wake them up to, hey, this is a huge club, these people are all around you, it's not even rare, not even remotely rare, they can explain these expressions. You can't see the forest for the trees. You couldn't tell that you were surrounded by intersex people because you were surrounded by intersex people. And of course, hiding in plain sight. They don't even hide it. They've always presented themselves, so you don't notice it because it's just been there. It was just out in the open. Here's just another truth in plain sight. They tell you what they're gonna do. A lie so colossal that no one would believe it. This more has to do with the master plan. Nobody would believe that they're gonna try to get rid of all natural-born men and replace them with nothing but free martins and...
Yes, why? Why would they do this, Hans? Why would that be a goal? What's the end result? I'm genuinely curious. Just so they can go around and pretend it's not the case? What would the point be?
But that's where it is. When you open your eyes and you see skulls and bones, when you go out there, you will not see men. You will not
The Pirates of the Caribbean is part of the conspiracy.
see men who were born with a penis. You'll see that all the people with almost all the people out there with male bone structure, they dress as women. And that's the big truth. John chapter 8, verse 44. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. You live in a big lie. That's why they tell you that women can have Adam's apples. That's why they tell you that bodies come in all shapes and sizes. They're just lying.
Because they do, Hans! Look at human beings! We're all very different! There's a general trend. Like, most of us are born with, like, the same number of limbs and fingers and stuff, but the rest of it's, it's kind of a crapshoot.
Because they want to hide the truth from you. You live in Mystery Babylon. It's called Mystery Babylon because it's a mystery. It's something that you have to figure out. My whole life, I've felt like something was wrong. Something I couldn't put my hand on. I just knew something was wrong. And this is it. This is the answer. This is the secret. This is the solution to the mystery. And that's it. Jesus Christ is the truth. The Bible, the King James Bible, it's the truth. You don't live on a flying ball. Look, even here, how they have the NASA Outer Space Fantasyland looking. This isn't what the night sky looks like. You don't live in a random, chaotic world. That's just how Satan likes it. And soon order will be restored. Jesus Christ is going to come back in the clouds and cleanse this place with fire. It's already been cleansed once with water, and the next time he's coming back with fire. Praise Jesus Christ. Come quickly. God bless everybody.
God damn it, Hans. God fucking damn it. We watched part of this one time, but let's actually sit through the entirety of its Hitler transvestigation, shall we?
Hans Wormhat. This is a video on hippie Hitler and how Hitler is a female, and all of them. All of the world leaders that claim to be men, they're probably the majority of them. The higher up you go, I believe the more likely it is that they aren't.
Oh, let me double check my tinfoil. Let's see. Illuminati Freemasons. Not quite. I don't think it's holographic sun sky, because he thinks the sky exists. He just thinks that the stars are, like, stuck in the firmament, because he believes in the biblical idea of the firmament. Not vampires. Man, I'm not having a lot of luck with bingo today.
Even intersex. It's just a woman on T. And, I mean, look at the hips on Hitler. Those are
BitChute is a sewage pile, but Hans has a BitChute account. Ugh. He has a whole video that says Gordon Ramsay has a vagina. Kevin James, pregvestigation. Bam Margera, pregvestigation. Gordon Ramsay, female to male breeder. Oh god, this guy's the fucking worst. I hate him so much.
hips. childbearing hips is one of the buzzwords that gets thrown around. Kind of like how on TV they'll bring up bone structure, they'll bring up cheekbones. Childbearing hips is something that people definitely talk about and in day-to-day lives.
Is it the flat earth / buoyancy thing? Because the flat earth square is not just flat earth. If it says flat earth / buoyancy, it's specifically when they talk about the flat earth disproves gravity and we stick to the earth because of buoyancy with the air. It's not just flat earth in general.
So that's something that the just regular everyday inverts will talk about, childbearing hips. And here you go. Hitler had childbearing hips. Donald Trump probably has given natural birth to Donna's obviously inverted children. And they make fun of the small hands, and they make fun of this, but they don't flat out say, look at the skull and bones, it is a female. Like it's like they can do anything except for that, saying this is a female, period. That is against the rules, but they can make fun of the hand size, they can make statues of them with a little micro.
If Trump was trans, why would he remove medical protections for trans people and ban us from the military? What would be the purpose of that, Hans? I'm very curious for your take.
They can talk about them being thick and etc., etc., etc. They're not allowed to just flat out say Donald Trump is a woman abusing testosterone. Going back to Hitler, I mean, sits like a woman. This is how women sit. Very feminine.
What
eyes
the
are not
fuck?
Set back. The eyes are bulging. FTM get this bulging eye. Men are supposed to have eyes that are sunken in. Think like Maria Shriver. Those sunken in eyes. FTM have these bulging out eyes.
That's
and
not how
eyebrows are very,
eyes
very
work.
close to the eye.
That's not how anything works.
The ability to have these like crazy drag queen eye makeup, that's a male feature, to have eyebrows that are really far away from your eye. Women look like this. Real women don't have crazy space to make eye makeup. And the really thin lips.
Have you ever... What? Have you seen drag queens? They're fucking gorgeous. Are you out of your goddamn mind? What are you talking about?
Probably just a fake mustache. They cover their necks. And, yeah, they're trannies. Look at the way that this sits. Female. Females sit like that. Here's the bigger photo showing not childbearing hips, and then, whoa. Nothing new. They talk about drag King Tut. Goes back to Egypt. What these people do, I mean, you can tell that they're obsessed with Egypt. And what they're doing is nothing new. King Tut, they'll tell you King Tut had female hips.
They say he has very wide hips because King Tut had various genetic birth defects because his family, like many royal families throughout history, was super duper inbred.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
We Bear 18 with 100 bits. Real women look like Hitler is a hot take I didn't think I'd hear today.
There's a reason that George Washington has rosy red cheeks and saggy skin, and
it's because he was old.
Had to wear wigs, and
everyone wore with powdered wigs were like a thing all upper class men wore at the time, because lice were such a big thing at the time. Because cleanliness obviously wasn't as big of a deal as it is today, and people were outside more often and all that jazz. So they would shave their heads, and they'd wear powdered wigs. It was a trend. It was a thing upper-class gentlemen did.
You can even see here, no eyelashes. When they abused...
Also, this is a painting, yes. I don't feel like I should have to say it, but for clarity, we should point out this is a fucking painting, not a photograph.
Testosterone, their eyelashes fall out. You'll see people in real life all the time that they don't have any eyelashes because they abuse hormones.
What?
Does it mean
I have eyelashes and I'm on hormones because I'm doing hormone replacement treatment. What? I still have eyebrows and eyelashes. What are you talking about?
When people talk about childbearing hips, people don't even know. Like, people need this to be explained to them. And they still don't even
Does
get
he
it.
not understand that Hitler tried to exterminate trans and other queer people alongside the Jews? I honestly don't know. He might think it didn't even happen. I don't know if he's a Holocaust denier or what.
They just think, oh, well, some guys have huge hips. Some women don't have any hips. They don't understand. No, God made them male and female. Men do not have childbearing hips. Women do have childbearing hips. The fact is that people don't understand intersex conditions and how common they are. Women are born with penises super frequently today. And a lot of men are eunuchs made in the womb. They come out with a vagina. It's called Swire syndrome. They can...
Swire syndrome is a real thing, but it's not common. Let's look. Swire syndrome. Swire syndrome is a rare disorder. Let's see if we can see how often it happens. Swire syndrome is a rare disorder characterized by the failure of the sex glands, i.e. testicles or ovaries, to develop. Swire syndrome is classified as a disorder of sex development, which encompasses any disorder in which chromosomal, gonadal, or anatomic sex characteristics is abnormal. Girls with Swire syndrome have an XY chromosomal makeup as boys normally do instead of an XX chromosomal makeup as girls normally do, despite having the XY chromosomal makeup. Girls with Swire syndrome look female and have functional female genitalia and structures including a vagina, uterus, and fallopian tubes. Girls with Swire syndrome lack sex glands, ovaries instead of sex glands. Women with Swire syndrome will have gonadal streaks, in which the ovaries do not develop properly, aplasia, and are replaced by functionless, scar, fibrous tissue. Because they lack ovaries, girls with Swire syndrome do not produce sex hormones and will not undergo puberty unless treated with hormone replacement therapy. Mutations in several different genes are known to cause Swire syndrome. This condition can occur as the result of a new gene mutation or can be inherited in an autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, X-linked, or Y-linked manner. Swire syndrome was first described in the medical literature of Dr. Swire in 1955. Let's see. I'm trying to look for, like, how much. Swire syndrome affects girls who have an XY chromosomal makeup, no ovaries, but functional female organs, including the uterus, fallopian tubes, and vagina. The exact incidence is unknown. One estimate places the incident at 1 in 80,000 births, which is pretty, I mean, that's quite often, because we have like 8 billion people on the planet at this point, so that's a lot of people with Swire syndrome. Another estimate placed the incidence of Swire syndrome, complete gonadal digenesis, and partial gonadal digenesis at 1 in 20,000 births. Genital anomalies occur in approximately 1 in 4,500 births. So that's a little bit about Swire syndrome. Interesting also that he's misgendering people with Swire syndrome and calling them males, even though most people with Swire syndrome, it seems to me, because they're born and raised as women, and they have cis female secondary sexual characteristics and primary characteristics, they probably see themselves as female most of the time. So, kind of a dick move, Hans.
Get pregnant and give birth using modern medicine.
Yeah, this slipped. You wanna?
Yeah, that's the truth. Look at how Melania sits. They do this on purpose. I mean, because they're trained. They know what they're supposed to do. Like, Melania, I'm sure, sits correctly a lot of times, but they'll come out and they'll show you. I mean, the male politicians just all sit like women. They all sit like women. But here's an example of Melania showing you the real way that this one sits.
Thank you.
This is how men sit.
He annoyingly also seems to record these by screen capturing his iPhone and recording the audio on it, and it's always awful. Hans, figure something else out, because this isn't working for you.
How women sit. It's just how our hips work. And yeah, there's all sorts of people out there
Thank
that
you.
have penises, and they sit like this because they're a free martin. It's just the way that their hips, the bone structure, it's not comfortable for a man to sit like that.
Oh, also,
This is how men sit.
you need to figure out what we're doing about the flat Earth / buoyancy, because it's inconsistent to say the Illuminati / Freemasons is either or, but the flat Earth / buoyancy isn't either or.
Okay, fuck it, mark it. Flat Earth will be flat Earth. Do I have that one? Let me see.
You do.
I do. The call has been made.
And I think this is where the 420 thing comes from. It comes straight from the Bible.
Hopefully that holds for another few minutes.
Thank you.
Revelation chapter 4 verses 10 and 11. The 4 and 20 elders fall down before him that sat on the throne, and worship him that liveth forever and ever, and cast their crowns before the throne, saying, Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. So I think this is where they get the 420. It's a reference to these 4 and 20 elders. I mean, it's a
It's about smoking the dank weed, bro.
strange way to, instead of saying 24, 4 and 20. So that's where this 420 obsession comes from, I believe. And stuff like that, I think it just shows that numbers matter. They're obsessed with gematria. Not that they matter in reality, just like the fact that people take the number stuff. Oh, the fact that people think 69 is so funny. 420, the fact that it's
Nice.
such a big deal. It's just a reflection of the fact that these people are number obsessed. You know, the 33 game. They're number obsessed. They're obsessed with these childish secret games. 33, orange 33, and bone structure. The game is that they're allowed to do basically anything.
I think it's
other than
actually a
just come
myth
out
that
flat and
420
just
is
say
the
the
police
truth.
code for weed. I don't
Just
think it
the
ever
way that
actually
is.
was.
They're
That
allowed
was
to
just
joke
a
about it, they're
pop
allowed to
cultural myth. I think
kind
the
of
real
hint at
reason
it,
that 420
but
became
they're not allowed to
associated with
say.
weed is like
a lot of women are born
unknown.
with penises today, and a lot of men are born with a vagina today, and the way that you can tell them apart is looking at their skeleton. Look at their skulls and bones. God bless everyone.
Gotta look at the bones. The bones! This is about Steve Jobs? Or is it just about careers, like jobs?
Wormhat, this is a video on jobs in tranny land. Just gonna read some comments from Reddit. WTF does the husband do that he makes $200,000 a year at 26? Probably does nothing. Probably goes on trips to Europe and all over the world and just posts photos on Facebook all the time. And that's probably what their job is. They probably don't do anything. Maybe every once in a while they have to go to a meeting or call into a meeting.
Welcome to capitalism, my guy. The people at the top do some of the least work and reap all the benefits that they steal from the working class.
But for the most part, these people that make tons of money at a young age, they were just illuminated into that position. Their parents are probably very high-level trannies. You can work your way up in tranny land by...
That's good to know. I'm glad there's some, like, upward momentum for me going forward. I really hate careers where you're just stalled in one place. Hopefully I can be the Queen Empress at some point. What's up?
What are you talking about being the Queen Empress?
Yeah.
Of what?
The world.
The world?
Yeah.
Just wanted to say you're adorable, and I love you.
I love you too.
And I fucked up your,
doing the steps, joining masonry, doing all the satanic ceremonies, and by being a disgusting person, you can claw your way to the top. But the ones like this are just born into it.
stealing me.
There's no possible
Can you put
way
some in
that
my
somebody
mouth?
could be 26
Aw.
and making $200,000 a year.
In your
A
mouth.
regular human
You also don't deserve nuts in general.
Thank you.
human, they could work at
Bye.
a place for their whole life and they're not going to make that much money. So what's a 26-year-old doing making $200,000 a year? It's just that this is a rigged game. The Trannyland game is rigged. And fake it till you make it. They're a bunch of liars. The salary could
That's not what fake it till you make it means, Hans. Do you know what any things mean? Do you know what any idioms you've ever heard mean?
even be fake. A lot of these rich people, it doesn't really appear that they have access to the money that they claim to. I know.
Yeah, he thinks basically everyone is trans. He thinks like 95% of the population is secretly trans, and he's one of the only men that really exist.
A lot of people that they claim to be really rich, but they're so stingy in a lot of ways. Like, these people that like to show off as if they're rich, you hear the strangest things from their family. Like, I just know one in particular, one invert in particular, who I would hear crazy things like when they would go back home to visit their strat mom and strat sister, when they would go out to eat, their strat mom would make them pay for their part of dinner. I've never, like, you never hear of that for regular families.
So one time you heard of a really cheap mother who made their kid pay for their dinner, which, whatever, that's a completely different thing. You don't know her financial situation or what's going on with that family, and you've extrapolated that out to everyone else for absolutely no reason. Galaxy brain, Hans.
If there's a regular family and your kid comes home from college, your child comes home from college, and you take them out to eat, you pay for the meal. You don't make your child pay. But it's like, in these, I want to call them like quasi-rich, because allegedly they make a lot of money, and allegedly they have a lot of money in the bank account and all that, but it seems like they're the stingiest with it, and they're weird about money, almost as if they don't have it for reals. So I don't know what's going on with that. But
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
I need a woo with 200 bits. Fake it till you make it by being trans. That's not how it works. If trans people fake it till they make it at all, they fake their assigned gender till they are confident to make it as their authentic self. You have it backwards, Hans. Hans has a lot of things backwards.
These higher class trannies, no human could ever be like that, but you don't want to. Just read the Bible. If you're rich, you're not going to make it to the kingdom of heaven, and you don't want your treasures here on earth. It's vanity here, Satan's earth, and it's nothing to covet. But, I mean, it is a good way to wake up to the deception, to wake up to how big this is, when you realize it's not just celebrities, it's not just, it's just anybody in a position of power, anybody that has a lot of money. Just look at them and they'll be inverted. Simple. Today is my first day, so I'm going to look at just two major career paths for inverts, for high-level inverts. If you want to be a smarty pants invert, maybe go into academia, maybe research something that doesn't exist. Today is my first day as a postdoctoral researcher at the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics.
That's rad as fuck. Good for this lady. Fuck yeah.
Look, they got these old world buildings with the windows underground. They even have an orange cone right there, probably because it flooded. Because nobody makes a building like this. Because if
And yet here it is, Hans. Here's a building that exists. What the fuck are you talking about?
floods. So these buildings, they used to be higher up off the ground. They sank into the ground after Noah's flood. This is an invert.
What? Hans! These buildings are not 6,000 years old! What are you talking about?
An MTF tranny. Look at that hand. How large the knuckles are, and they're straight across. Like, that hand could really punch somebody. It's because it's a dude wearing 2 watches. Those are some really strong looking legs. And up down. No Q angle. See how the legs are just completely vertical? Female legs angle in. Because women have a Q angle. And this is the typical foot attire for MTF academia trannies.
Yeah, that's you know, on your graduation you get your diploma, a handshake, and sandals. Yeah, that's how it works. Fun fact.
Andromeda 321. 21 is 3, of course, so 321 is basically a 33. The building behind me is where the Harvard computers really started modern astrophysics by unlocking the secrets of astronomical spectra. Listen to the words that they are telling you. Really read the words that they're choosing. Unlocking the secrets. You know what the secret is? That it's a bunch of BS. So they can just tell you whatever they want. The stories that they claim about the outer space fantasy land is absurd when you really know what's going on. All that they're doing is allegedly collecting light, and they want to pretend like they can tell you every little thing about it. When they can't even tell you what sleep is. They can't even tell you what keeps a bicycle upright.
What? I'm pretty sure these are pop cultural myths at this point. Like, we relatively understand what sleep is. It's an energy conservation thing, among other things. We don't necessarily know what dreams are for, but sleep allows us to rest, not use as much energy, and repair stuff in our body that needs to be repaired. Not that that doesn't happen during the day, too, but when you're using less energy on, like, being up and about, I would think your body would be able to repair more efficiently. Could be wrong. Yell at me if I'm wrong, Baja Blast, in the chat. Dreams, we don't necessarily know what they're for, but, like, that... What? What? The bicycle thing, I think we know at this point. Maybe we don't. I don't know how much research has been done into bicycles.
But they want you to think that they can tell you about these
I'm not wrong.
faraway
Fuck yeah, I'll take it.
worlds from what light, from just looking at a piece of light. And if you just go use your eyes and you go look at the sky, you can see it's not NASA Outer Space Fantasyland. And they're all very
Baja
close,
Blast says
twinkly.
we know how a bike works.
You can't see objects that are
And
that
she's a
far away.
biologist, so I believe her. Because as we all know, bikes are apex predators, and they're very well studied.
It doesn't, that are as far away as NASA claims. They just pick these numbers that are so huge, so that if you're like, that doesn't make sense, they can say, well, you can't understand it. It's too big for you to understand. No, you're just a bullshitter. All right, let's keep reading. I'll be honest, I was never one to dream about coming here because I never thought I was good enough. My first project is going to be on radio and X-ray data from a black hole that ate...
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. I believe you.
a star.
I know at one point I heard a myth that we didn't know how bikes work. How do bikes... Oh god, this tinfoil's fucking me up. How do bicycles balance themselves? The accepted view, bicycles are stable because of the gyroscopic effect of the spinning front wheel, or because of the front wheel trails behind of the steering axis, or both. There you go.
The way that they talk about this stuff too, very infantile. Oh, a black hole ate a star, which I've wanted to study for years, and the entire thing is just so surreal. I talk about this all the time. When they're doing their hoaxes, when they're doing their deceptions, they'll tell you, oh, it just felt like a dream. Oh, it didn't feel real. It still doesn't feel real. Oh, it's surreal. These are ways of them telling...
Again, he completely misunderstands basic turns of phrase.
you it's a bunch of bullshit. Would you mind giving an explain like I-5 about how one goes about analyzing what I imagine to be reams upon reams of data? Is it a question of taking point-in-time snapshots and calculating how everything is moving? Andromeda responds, basically, you use supercomputers. Hey, that's not science. Science is reproducible. Supercomputers...
Yes, she's not going to outline the entire process of how they compute things to you on the internet. Other universities with similar supercomputer setups who are doing the same calculations know the processes. Like, I'm sure if she publishes a paper, it very much in detail says how she does this. This is a Reddit post, however, and no one wants to read that. Because, as important as as important as scientific journals and scientific research papers are, they tend to be a bit of a dry read, if you're not familiar with the subject matter.
Computers are probably a Disneyland hoax that don't exist. Where's Google Glass? What happened to Google Glass?
Why am I the
Why
Tinfoil Queen? Because we are doing Tinfoil Tuesday. All conspiracy theories, and I must protect myself from the reptoids, or whatever.
And I see a bunch of people walking around with Google Glass on, because it was a hoax. It never existed. They like to have these technology hoaxes. How often do you hear of some crazy thing that's coming out of Japan that's going to blow everybody's mind, and then a few years later, nobody ever thinks about it again? They have these science technology hoaxes. The X-ray is easier because Chandra gives us the images already pretty processed. So,
am I aware of Psyman Dan? Yes, I am.
Allegedly is
I've seen his
top of their
videos before.
field, or not the top of their field, but you know, this isn't just a lay person who is interested in astrophysics. This is somebody with a PhD in astrophysics. They're not even collecting the data. They're already getting stuff that's been very processed. And
yes, multiple people work in labs at universities. It isn't one person in a lab huffing ether like science in the 1890s, Hans. It's a collectivist endeavor. That's great. It allows us to be very efficient, relatively speaking, in the discoveries that we make every day. Come on.
it's because they're just an extension of the octopus arm system of they're just being told what to do. They don't get to go and collect the data themselves. Even the PhD level, they're being hand-fed stuff. That's already processed.
That's not the case. Baja Blast, my girlfriend, is a fourth year, I want to say. Is it fourth or third? Sorry. Fourth or third year PhD candidate. I want to say fourth. I could be wrong. And she does research all the time, at least when the COVID-19 isn't running amok. Like, she does data gathering often. I've seen it on her computer. She's, like, highlighting embryos and stuff, and the different parts of them, because she works with, like, stem cells. It's very interesting. I don't understand it, but, like, people who work in science gather data. That's a huge part of their job. Where do you think it's coming from?
I've wanted to be an astronomer since I was 13 and read a book on it. I love stories. They don't say they love the truth. They don't say they love even science.
Okay, did you read the rest of the sentence? I love stories, and the one about our universe is the biggest and most majestic one we have. She's being poetic, which again is something Hans doesn't seem to understand.
I love stories, and the one about our universe is the biggest and most majestic one we have. It's just a story, guys.
Fourth year, I was right.
Yes, the group I've joined has been observing this source for several years, but it's undergoing a transition. Oh, even the... Is it a... Oh, it's a group. Even this group of stars or black holes, or I don't know what they're talking about, it's undergoing a transition. So
yes, because things change all the time. That's how life in the universe works. Nothing is static, right? Just because someone uses the word transition, which is a word in the English language and has been long before transitioning for people with gender dysphoria has been a thing, just because someone's using the word transition doesn't mean it has to do with, like, a medical or social transition for a trans individual like myself. Right? Okay.
Someone has to see what it's been up to. Here's another comment. It used to be a research telescope, but is now used for outreach, and all our telescopes are in faraway places. How convenient.
It's not convenient, Hans. It's actually very inconvenient. The telescope on campus nowadays is not powerful enough to do the observations that they're doing, so instead, in part because of light pollution, the very powerful telescopes, whether they be optical or radio telescopes, are out in places far away from civilization where light pollution can't fuck with their readings. Right? Pretty simple. It's not convenient, but it is something that has to be done, unfortunately, because of how the modern world works. Okay.
Even if you happen to have a PhD in astrophysics...
Trans rights are galactic rights. Goddamn right they are.
The likelihood that you're going to be able to go use one of these telescopes is zero.
Not if you're a PhD in astrophysics, then the chance that you can actually petition in some way to go and do research at one of these places is probably relatively high. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people who are still working at the universities to, analyze that data and do stuff with it and come up with, like, models or whatever science-y stuff they're doing with it. But if that's what you want to do, if you get a PhD in astrophysics and you want to go work at a telescope somewhere in the middle of nowhere, go do it. You can go do that. It's a lot of work. But you can go do it. Oh no. I think part of my tinfoil fell. Or something happened. Was it my crown? Aw.
They're in faraway places. You need to be told to go there. You need to be basically illuminated into a position where they're gonna send you out on these trips. And when you get there, guess what? It's probably Disneyland. These places probably don't even do what they claim. Then, like anything these days, you download the data off the internet. They have no idea where this data comes from. It's not like they're there using the instruments and gathering.
No, but they know where it comes from. It doesn't just show up at their computer one day and they're like, oh, new data. It's like probably CC'd from, I don't know the name of any like telescope place. I don't know the name of any observatories. Let's say, no, the LA observatories like for fun. That's not one that they actually do research at anymore, I don't think. Let's say that there's a research place called, I don't know, let's call it Hans Wormhat Observatory. So, presumably, you are working in tandem with the observatory. For instance, whatever university she's at, Harvard, I'd imagine, has specific relationships with these observatories if they haven't built one themselves, and they share data with each other and help each other. And that's how it works. It's not just coming from the ether. It's coming from a chain of command that they're aware of and that they have oversight over.
The data? No, they're just downloading some file off the internet. Who knows where it came from? Congratulations, but why are you wearing 2 watches? One is sentimental. It reminded me instantly of Pulp Fiction, the story about keeping the watch up the person's butt in a...
Hans, anytime someone brings up a watch, is that what comes into your head? That's kind of funny, but it's not a conspiracy.
POW camp, which hoax story, of course. Prisoner of wars don't exist these days. It's just fake war stories.
What? Prisoners of war don't exist? Yikes. That'd be nice, Hans, but no. Prisoners of war still happen.
They got to get a weird sodomy reference in there. But the watch...
Watches are not a reference to sodomy. What are you talking about? Hans, just because your brain shoots there does not mean that that is the underlying meaning of the text, right? Okay.
It's a sentimental thing. It's Masonic. And that's why they wear 2 watches. I mean, here even, Mars mission team members often wear 2 watches. Yeah, because it's a Masonic symbol. One for Earth time and one for Mars time. They'll give you some dumb explanation. Hi, sorry for the delay. One that I like to point out when the moon is really bright is that the moon is actually as reflective as an asphalt parking lot. They mystify you with these things. That's not true. How? That should be very obvious to people that that can't be. When you look up at the moon on a full moon and it's very bright, these days it's so bright it casts a bunch of glare. And then some astrotard is going to come out and say, actually, did you know that the surface of the moon is only as reflective as asphalt? Okay, then it wouldn't look like this.
Why? What are you talking about, Hans? It's a lighter color, so it probably reflects more in that sense. But it's also being shone upon by the sun? The brightest light source in the solar system? In fact, the only natural light source in the solar system outside of things like bioluminescence? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Hans? It reflects light from the sun back to Earth. This is one of the, like, most easily... you can see it! You can see it, Hans. The fact that you are seeing the light particles hit your eye from the moon prove that it is reflecting light. My goodness, Hans.
That makes no sense. You're a liar, and you're just bullshitting. For what it's worth, I was never one of those A students either because I don't test well.
What a shock. Oh, he's talking about this person.
Well, I don't test well. That's like, you have no idea. I went into academia. I went pretty far in academia. If I had $1 for every tranny that says, well, I just don't test well.
What the fuck does that mean? Oh, shit. I clicked.
No,
I
you're
thought
just
it
not as
exited
smart
out.
as you like to pretend you are. That's your big problem. And I'm starting a postdoc at Harvard this week. I know how to work hard. And basically, you know how to screech really loud and make people's lives miserable so that they just pass you through the system rather than chucking you to the curb. I know how to work hard, and that has counted far more in my career than my grades. I won't lie, though. It would have been easier with good grades, but my point is they definitely don't define everything. And I guess I could just talk about somebody I know here that got like a...
How did she break into my room? Did she learn how to, like, turn the doorknob by jumping on it? Or did she just sneak in? Like, when you had the door open a little bit.
I know somebody personally that they were handed a PhD and they really shouldn't have been. They basically argued. It was like their thesis didn't end up being interesting. Like, their thesis ended up being nothing.
Hans, on what basis do you think you are able to determine whether or not a PhD's thesis is worthy of earning them a PhD? Hans, you didn't go to college. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't finish college, though I did go for a while. But I wouldn't deign to try and say I have the right or the knowledge base to determine whether or not someone's thesis on whatever topic from a branch of study that I have nothing to do with is or is not worthy. The people who judged them clearly deemed it worthy enough because they got the fucking PhD. Jesus Christ.
But they just fought hard enough for it, and they eventually got it accepted anyways. And now they have their PhD, and they're off teaching. If you throw a big enough fit, and you... Like, this person obviously wasn't that smart.
Hans, then please, show up at a university and scream until they hand you a PhD in flat Earth. I'd love for you to try that and to see how your results turn out. Thank you to Shady Shroomy with 50 bits. This thesis is boring. No PhD. Yep, that's how it works.
But they fought hard enough for their own cause.
That's why I think for Baja Blast's PhD dissertation, she should just have someone playing electric guitar behind her as background music the whole time. Keeps it spicy.
And they got their PhD. If you were a normal human, I doubt they probably would just say your thesis sucks, you don't get your PhD. My sister told me nothing made her...
That's how people on the boards who determine if you get your PhD talk. I don't know, it kinda sucked. No PhD for you.
Oh, this is just to show you the type of people. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Academia is full of the most satanic, do as thou wilt, just quote-unquote progressive. They are the most militant blue lodgers, people in academia. My sister told me nothing made her as pro-choice as actually being pregnant. Your sister's probably a man. Of course a man isn't going to like being pregnant.
What the fuck? Kiki
MTF
jumped and grabbed the handle? Oh my god.
Pregnancies, and they get postpartum depression, and they try to tell real women that they're going to get the same thing. Well, real women aren't men pretending to be women with a mangina, getting in vitro, etc. Why do you think that pregnancy is going to affect a real woman the same way that it affects an invert? When analyzing radio telescope signals, does anyone sonify them and use their ears to detect things? Look at their answer. No, we are actually terrible at it and never do this except for outreach. The signal we are looking for is less than 1 part of 100 in the noise, typically, so your ear wouldn't hear much. How do you get data from something that's 99% noise?
It's called the noise to signal ratio, Hans. Fucking Google it, you idiot.
The noise is way stronger than the actual data, then who's to say what the data is and what noise is? They can just isolate whatever they want and say, oh, this is what we isolated out of the huge amount of noise. They're basically telling you here that it's a bunch of BS. Most of what they get is just a bunch of background noise, and they can focus in on whatever 1% they want. Who can corroborate that the less than 1 part of 100 is not the noise? How do you know that that's not noise too? It's just crazy.
Well, typically, I would say that the people who study this for a living and spend literally their entire lives working towards discovering that, they're probably the people to ask about that, Hans. That's the answer. People in academia who work on this day in and day out, it's their job, so they know what they're talking about, right? Like, not everything's perfect, obviously, in data gathering, but, like, if anyone knows what they're doing or is even close to it, it's gonna be the people who do it every day. And yeah, people are imperfect, but it doesn't really matter because we're still trying to figure out, like, hey, who's the person that we should ask about this? The expert. The person who spent years studying it, right? Okay.
Andromeda is 33.
Hans does have children and he homeschools them.
Not surprising. This is just another training land job. We're kind of switching gears, more Red Lodge type thing. Blue Lodge, very academic, very you just are given your job. Like a rich Blue Lodge person would be like the person that I described earlier. They went through undergrad, they were stupid, they just partied the whole time, they're just an Amazonian tranny, and they just get handed this really nice office job. That's very Blue Lodge. This is very Red Lodge. Am I the asshole for not teaching a skill to my oldest son that I taught his siblings because of the custody arrangement? And so I won't get into this whole thing, but look at it. Trade schools don't teach these skills. He did ask to move in with me and teach him after high school, but I turned him down because my wife was unwell. His new wife. I don't want to get into the details of the story, but this is Red Lodge. Trades, where they don't teach it in school, and it's very, very profitable. It could be something...
I have no idea what Red Lodge and Blue Lodge means, by the way. I know he's talking about it right now, but I've never heard him use this this nomenclature before.
Very silly, like this person just does stucco, or this person works with iron grates or something. I don't know, but they keep it very secretive, and you can't even go to a trade school to do this. I've reached out to people before. I knew somebody that they made musical instruments in a shop, and I contacted them. I tried to like reach out, hey, if you ever, because they were by themselves, hey, if you ever need somebody to help sweep up around your shop or anything like that, they like never respond to me about it. They just ignore me.
Oh.
People don't want to teach their trades. They like having their little secret trades, and then they can charge huge amounts of money for doing their trade, even though it's probably...
Hans, just because one guy didn't want to give you a job doesn't mean it's a conspiracy. He just didn't... Did you happen to, in your email, ask that person if they were, like, if they were a free Martin or whatever? That's probably why they didn't want to deal with you. Thank you, Nilbog. Oh, from, like, Troll 2. Thank you, Nilbog, for following.
Probably simple. Trades women, trades trannies. They're all inverts. Why? No neck. They're pudgy with no neck. Real men are not pudgy with no neck. Pudgy with no neck. Look at the hands. Like, the pudgy hands.
Yeah, he's overweight. That's fine. It's fine. Most Americans are overweight. It's not healthy, but it's pretty normal in America.
This is what people think men look like. Nope. This is a free Martin. They're so pudgy. They have no necks. They have T-Rex arms. People think that's strong. No, that's a tiny, tiny little T-Rex arms. Torque. You need long You need a long humerus bone to have a lot of torque. They're not strong, they're fat. So much orange when it comes to this stuff. Here's an old tranny falling apart.
Thank you, Nilbog. This armor is
heels.
keeping me
Look at the
sane
heels.
from all the psycho waves.
More bright orange, fat, round face, widow's peak. Fat, not strong. This is not strong, this is fat.
Why is he just Why is the end of this video just him calling people fat? What the fuck are you doing, Hans?
Small machine shop owner, look, doing the Masonic hand sign. They're trannies, they're part of a club. This isn't even this is a music shop. You can't even open a music shop if you're a regular human. I've had people in the comments tell me before that they had a...
I mean, I wouldn't open a music shop because that's a terrible financial decision, being that Spotify exists.
a great business plan, and they went out and they tried to start a business, but nobody would give them a loan. That's how it would be if you were a regular human. They would just say, sorry, you're rejected. There's no way that this music shop makes enough money off selling CDs to stay open. You guys all probably know plenty of businesses where you're like, there's no way that that business stays open. They can't sell enough to cover rent. There's legitimate businesses that go out of business because they can't cover rent, and they make way more money than some stupid music shop like this. But, well, they're Masonic tranny, so they get to keep their shop open, even if it doesn't make money. Look at the hair on this one. But look, why do they all look the same? Where are the necks?
That's a Freemason space for the bingo.
Why don't you guys have necks? Why don't you have Adam's apples? Why don't you have broad square shoulders and long dangly monkey arms? Oh, it's because you're a bunch of trannies.
Oh
surrounded by
God!
trannies. So tall. Look how tall they are. But then they have these tiny little arms. Tiny.
Wait, is tallness not a masculine trait now arbitrarily? What the fuck?
hands. They look sick in the eyes from the tea abuse. Look at the eyebrows that are right on top of the eye. That's female. They got no... Look at the weak jaw on this one. And then this one has a double chin. It's female.
Hans,
Cheery,
show
rosy
your
cheeks,
face, you
widow's
coward.
peak. Female, female, female. All traits of female. Oh, that's my last one. Yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. God bless everybody.
Oh God, Hans, what are you doing? What are you doing? Send this video to people who believe in toucans.
Hans Wormhat. Send this video to people who believe in toucans. Toucan.
How did I find this guy? Oh
That's
God.
capitalistic
I don't.
propaganda.
I know I've seen his videos before because he did like weird videos like this where he thinks certain animals aren't real. I don't know other than that. Thank you, Candy, for following. I guess I don't remember. Someone might have sent him to me. I'm not sure.
Or another hoax animal. And it's another hoax animal that gets pushed on children. Pandas, koalas, narwhals. These especially get pushed on children. And toucans are another one that get pushed on children. Think Fruit Loops. And if they can get you to believe in something since you're young, you'll just keep believing in it. Nobody ever comes up to you and says toucans are fake, so you just assume it's real because you've lived your whole life just thinking that it's real. Toucans have kind of a big
There's
nose
nothing
thing.
funny about the tools
There's
of
quite a few fake
capitalism.
animals out there that have large noses. And
Devious Chillster with 100 bits. My personal favorite bit about all of this is that people like Hans who do the wrong body shtick never ever show what they look like because they know they're full of shit. Yeah.
the nose is somehow related to lying. We have Pinocchio. And there's also they like to openly talk about certain things. One thing is, it's just a known thing that touching your nose means you're lying. And
That's a myth. This idea that there are like certain signs that everyone does when they're lying all the time, not necessarily the case, alright? The plot to the Fox, like, crime drama Lie to Me not exactly true.
That's
Sometimes people does just fucking touch their face, right?
kind of a funny thing because, like, what, when you're lying, are you, like, subconsciously gonna touch your nose or scratch your nose? No, it's just that you're surrounded by a lot of people that they speak with their hands. They're constantly speaking with their hands and speaking in symbols, and the nose is just one of those things.
Nah,
So a
Hannah,
big
my eyes
nose
definitely do
means
somersaults when I
lying.
lie. Well, there you go. Nilbog just proved me
Toucans
wrong.
have a lot of
Oh,
hints
God.
at them being fake. We see a lot of jokes about zebras being painted that way. It's because that's not a joke, that's the truth. We see a lot of...
The joke that zebras get painted is because zebras look like stripy horses. Because that's effectively what they are. That's the joke, Hans. That's the joke. Just because there's one specific joke repeated all the time doesn't mean it's true. Like, you see a lot of depictions of dogs playing poker. It doesn't mean when you leave your house, your dogs get together and play Texas Hold'em, right?
Animatronic gorillas. There seriously are tons of videos out there of animatronic gorillas and animatronic pandas, and they say that they're using them to spy or something. It's just another... They like to make jokes about the truth. That is just one of their MOs. The people who control this place, that put on this fantasy show for everybody, all
There's
the world to
nothing funny
stage,
about the tools of
they act
capitalism.
in certain ways. And one of the ways that they act
Random
is
invite with
joking
100
about the
bits.
truth.
Memes and paintings are real.
see
You
that
heard it
with
here on
Toucan.
Tinfoil Tuesday.
So what is it? I mean, does
True.
this look legit down here? You can tell that is ridiculous. It's just a fake beak put on a bird.
Why do you think it's fake, Hans? Because it's colorful? The reason that it exists and it stays with the skull is because it's not made of fleshy material that, like, rots the same as the rest of the body, right? It's probably made of, like, not keratin, what's the word I'm thinking of? The stuff that, like, nails and teeth are made out of. I don't remember. Either way, it's like a hard thing. Like bones.
And it's
There's
another
nothing
thing that's
funny
been...
about
Is
the
it
tools of
keratin?
capitalism.
Okay. Anita Wu with 5 bits. I'm glad my dog doesn't play Texas Hold'em. That's too derpy to win and would lose our house. Oh, he's too derpy to win and would lose our house.
blown out of proportion. There are certain birds, I believe in just one instance
Yep, every Tuesday I do Tinfoil Tuesday.
of a place, Costa Rica.
Other days I look at, like, weird right-wing people, like the quartering and stuff, and talk about them.
I believe that there is a real type of bird
Or just weird people like Jillian Epperly, who makes chili juice. All kinds of people.
that does have a large beak. But it's not like this large, to this level. I think that what they do is they take something from real life and then they blow it out of proportion. Like, great whites are a hoax. They take a real thing, a shark, and they blow it out of proportion. Toucan, I think, is the same thing. They take a real idea, which is a bird with a pretty large beak. Some birds with large beaks exist. However, they blow it crazily out of proportion and they sell you a fantasy to get you to believe in things that aren't real. And that's enough of a reason for them. The people who control...
Yeah, I'm curious once again. I need to reiterate. Hans, what would be the purpose of faking toucans if toucans didn't really exist? You mentioned earlier for spying purposes, but that would really only work in very specific areas of the world, right? Where toucans are supposed to be from. It's not like you're gonna go outside your house and let's say you're outside in a cafe sipping coffee and talking with your FBI contact about whatever secret thing, and then a toucan comes and perches himself up next to you and you're in the continental United States. You're gonna be like, holy fuck, is that a toucan? It would be an awful spy tool. So what's the purpose, Hans? Why waste the time to make up toucans? Even if you were gonna make a spy bird, wouldn't you just make a bird that was different? Thank you, that was annoying the fuck out of me.
It was annoying. God, that's all I could hear. I couldn't hear Hans at all.
you, and anyways, people just always ask me what they is.
Love you too.
No, it's everybody. They're your neighbors.
I'm
They're
gonna go
your
move my
it's
car out into the road
Okie dokie.
so it's easier
people that throw the
There's
tree
nothing
at
funny about the tools
before they
of
come into your
capitalism.
house or when they...
Can Hans do a video on the Rainforest Cafe? That would be nice.
There's just so many people in on this stuff.
Yeah, he has a shit ton of videos.
This Toucan hoax.
This isn't even his first channel. He's had other channels before that have gotten deleted, I think.
It's just a thing.
And he also has a BitChute account, which is like shitty right-wing
I know
YouTube.
that this thing is a big hoax, and I guess they have connections where they can get one of these prosthetics to put on their bird. They just have a trained bird, and they put this face mask on. Do you see the white, the edge? It's a black bird, and that blue is so unnatural. And orange, of course. Orange is 33, and it's one of the colors that the eunuchs, these controllers, they love. And also right up here, look at it's an orange triangle with an eye in the center. That's like the all-seeing eye.
It's barely a triangle. Look, it's like it's obviously just natural on their face, so it's gonna sort of conform to certain things. Yes, could you argue this is kind of a point, although it's not really. It's kind of a line. This could theoretically be a point, and this could theoretically be a point. But even then, it's not like an equilateral triangle. This isn't even a point. Hans, what are you talking about?
Side of a pyramid. So they got their signs and symbols. It's a plastic beak on a trained bird. Like, look how photoshopped this is. The tongue. The tongue is bizarre. There's something about the tongue that is just so bizarre. That's not a real tongue. It's like a weird... I don't even know. It just looks photoshopped in.
If this were the case, then why don't we see toucans without the fake beak? Why wouldn't we see another bird that looks exactly like a toucan, but without the beak? It would basically look like a porg from Star Wars The Last Jedi.
It's like, where's this one? If the tongue is super long like that, what are they just saying it's down in this one? Can you see it's just a face mask on a bird? Oh, they love to talk about, that's why I picked this one. Mystery of the toucan's beak solved. They're always talking about, oh, the mystery is solved, the mystery is solved, and they'll tell you a bunch of BS, but they won't tell you the truth, that is, it's fake. It's a fake beak on a trained bird.
What?
But they love talking about that. Oh, the mystery solved. I think
Poor
on my
toucan.
Great White video, they had a few articles like that about great whites. They love to sell you these emotional stories.
The Last Jedi was a secret plot to reveal the secret of porgs being toucans to the world. Ryan Johnson, you've been judged too harshly.
Toucan gets 3D printed beak. Oh, another... This one is really obviously just like a fake face mask on a bird.
Yeah, this is a 3D printed beak, you idiot. It says right on the thing. It's a prosthetic because some asshole ripped their beak off.
Right? Oh. And they like to sell you emotional stories. It gets more people to donate. Is that orange text? Yeah, it's orange. Rescate animal? But it's orange. Orange is their favorite color. Look at all these birds dressed.
Rain Dean, my father is watching 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, and he's on the tell-all. We need to get better Hans videos. I'm being distracted by reality TV drama. Is it the season with Ed? Because that season's fucking nuts.
Up. Train birds to be dressed up. You know, face masks. Somebody I know, they say that toucans are like a black parrot. And it could be that. It could definitely be these. I mean, this type of parrot has this frilly thing. I don't know if maybe they trim it to make it look like a different thing, because that's what they do with the zebras. A zebra, they take the mane and they trim it. That's why the zebra mane is sticking straight up. That's what happens if you take a horse and you trim their mane. It sticks straight up like a painted horse. So I don't know if they're taking a black parrot and trimming that frilly thing. And then
Nice, that's a
face
good
mask on it.
season.
Because it did look like this, but just without the frilly things. Or just a different type of parrot that doesn't have that, like this.
But they
All I
don't
know is
look
that
the same,
Training
Hans.
birds is a very
Even
popular thing,
minus the beak.
and people that spend their life training birds, it's like an obsession to them. Bird people, they have these huge cages. They think of people that you've seen just walking around public with a bird.
I haven't seen anyone just walking around in public with a bird, unless it's either at like a zoo or a theme park where like people are dressed up as characters or whatever, or at like a Ren fair if someone's dressed as a pirate. Like, what are you talking about?
These type of niche hobbies, enthusiasts, it's full of Masons, and they love to lie, and they love to sell you a story and create their own reality. They get off on this stuff, getting people to believe in...
Nilbog
fake
says, you ever think
reality.
that these conspiracy nuts were like traumatized by finding
I'm
out
just gonna
Santa
end
was
by
fake
watching this.
and then
If
just
you- a
assumed
subscriber
everything is
sent
fake?
me They-
That makes more sense as the
they just
theory
said
than
that
anything
they were
Hans
looking
has
for
ever
videos
said.
and they saw this, and it was ridiculous. So I haven't seen this, but I'm sure it's going to be...
Oh yeah,
really
Hans's
bad.
kids are going to be so
Because one of
pissed
the
when they
biggest
grow up
things
and find
that
out their father
shows that
taught them a
toucans
bunch
are
of
a
fucking
hoax, at least
nonsense.
this
I
type of
hope that's the
toucan, there
case.
may
Worst
be
case,
some
they'll wind up like
smaller
him and just think
version of a
everything's
bird out
fake.
there that has a pretty large beak, but nothing like this. This is hoaxery. Anything that looks like Toucan Sam. That looks
Sexy
like this,
Baphomet says there's an
is a
orange
hoax.
bird on my
It's a
bird
trained
feeder right
bird with a
now.
face mask.
It's listening in.
And they add in
Government,
sound effects. This
I'm
bird's
in on
name
the
is Ripley.
conspiracy,
Look at
I
the
know,
orange
because
icon
I
here.
watch Hans
Next to our
Wormhat.
patrons. And the icon's orange. And yeah, let's just get into it. I'm going to skip through because it's kind of a long video.
Before we get started, I'm going to give a shout out to our newest patrons on Patreon.
Gotta
Oh,
get the
actually,
money.
first I'm going to do a what are they called? Anyways, I don't know. Why don't we just get started, because she's obviously eyeing these little bananas. I got these little baby
Let's see how well this
bananas.
toucan
You can
eats the
see they're...
bananas.
Here, look at them. Yeah, I know.
Do you hear that noise? That's a...
They're
they
overripe
try to,
because
they
that's
try to
the
say
way
that's the noise
she
that
likes
this thing
them.
makes.
Yes, that's the noise toucans make, God damn it! What? What?
She's never had baby bananas before. And she likes her fruit, just in general, a little overripe.
Okay, let's get to it.
That looks good, doesn't it?
What's up, Baha? That is such a cute dress.
It's
oh
a
my god.
romper.
Oh, I didn't see the bottom of it. That's a cute ass romper.
Thank you.
Show chat how cute you look.
I guess. Hello.
Very cute.
I refuse to go outside in pajamas for whatever reasons, and so I had to change to go move my car.
Nice.
Aw, thanks, chat.
Did you know that toucans are fake?
You know, I had my sneaking suspicions.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've never seen, like, a picture of one or anything like that. I got the mail.
Nice.
And I brought the garbage can up.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Might have to do a test taste before I give it to you.
Maybe a
The thing
little
with that
more
noise
soda.
is what this thing is making.
Pop.
I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
Of course.
Oh yeah, my crown fell off.
There's a face mask on a black bird.
We'll attempt to rectify that. It's not
Almost
really
got it.
crown
And there we
as
go.
much as
Takes
it
this
is
person 2 minutes to open a banana.
Aw.
Why do they have to? So the commenter brought up. Why do they have to open the banana for the bird? The bird should know how to
How can
eat
Hans
this
think
without
that's
having to be opened by a human.
Don't try to eat that all whole.
Don't try to eat that all. What? I thought it's supposed to.
What? Why would you think that, Hans? They don't need to eat something whole just because they have a long beak. They still eat things in bites. What the fuck?
Gosh. Like, they have a big beak, that doesn't mean they have a big fucking throat.
I guarantee if it had eaten it all in one bite, he would have been like, it's like a robot. Look at how it ate it all in one bite.
Kiki, you're supposed to come
It's a baby banana, and this thing. Why won't it eat it?
Yeah, she's rubbing it all over the couch.
Rubbing it all over the couch because it's a fake prosthetic beak.
Getting banana all over the couch, bird.
This is how all these toucan videos go. They can't eat.
You should have just let me hold it while you take pieces off instead of rubbing it everywhere.
Because what, in the wild, they have a human there that can hold it for them to eat pieces off of it?
No. Because it's in his house and he doesn't want him rubbing it all over stuff. You idiot. Where?
Norway.
Oh gosh.
It's very dry, so it must have been there for a while.
Thank you. Can you take her? Cause I can't I can't keep her in line.
Kiki.
Cause I got all tinfoiled up.
Kiki. Kiki, let's go clean up some of your puke. Let's go clean up some of your puke. Come on. Come in.
Oh, the camera. Hold on.
Oh. Probably because of
Oh, dang. Can you? Well.
Yeah, okay. So let me get up from
All right.
here.
Hold on. I'll fix the camera in a second. Or Baja will. Sorry. Aren't native bananas totally different too? Yes. Yes, they are. Wild bananas are very different than domesticated bananas.
How the hell does this thing work?
You're gonna have to probably unplug it and plug it back in too.
No, I know, but I don't know how to get it to stick. Like,
Yeah.
genuinely, how do
Like
I?
that. And then you're gonna have to angle it towards me. Why the heck? Oh, wrong one. That's why. Sorry. Video capture device. Boop, boop. Nope. Boop, boop. Can you move this wire, like, behind the thing? Come on.
Did we finally actually break your
That would suck ass.
thing?
There we go. Ha ha ha.
This is...
Move the...
What do you want? Words. Use your words.
You can adjust it by pushing the other half that kind of is on a hinge.
Yeah.
You understand?
What do you mean? What do you want me to do with the part
Move it.
that's on a
Move the
hinge?
camera this way a bit.
This way?
Yeah. So I'm more centered. Yeah, that's probably good. Oh god, it did it again. Fuck.
Hannah?
Hold on. Yeah, move the cord around.
It's...
There we go. Hooray! We're back. Sorry about that. I gotta get a new camera.
And the comments are full of people saying, how does this thing live in the wild? And people saying, what is with that noise this thing is making? People just don't understand they're being duped. It's a trained bird. That's why I can't eat it. And yeah, this one has a weird fake tongue in there. This video is so bad quality. Freezing up.
You're making a mess. Look at, you
See,
got it all
sometimes
over
it
your
like
beak.
the video like stops, and I wonder if there were some frames that gave away the secret.
You're still just playing with that giant piece of banana, aren't you?
Yeah,
Why won't I
animals.
eat it?
Yeah, Hans. Animals like to play with their food often. It's a thing. For instance, Kiki will often take food out of her food bowl and just bat it around and play with it, right? Before she eats it.
I'm not gonna take it. I'm trying to help you. She thinks I'm gonna take her banana.
Okay, how long has this thing been going? Oh, some of the banana's missing. I don't think it.
I have to clean banana up off the...
Okay, are you gonna eat it?
She's gonna try to eat it. You gonna be able to eat that giant hunk of banana?
Oh, look at the
How does this
mess.
thing survive in the wild, allegedly?
And you dropped all of it.
Because it has all day to do this, Hans. In the wild, animals live to do two things. Eat and fuck. That's what animals do. That's their job.
Now what are you gonna do?
So does anyone have any guesses for what species of bird?
What
this
was the name of the
is?
video where he calls everyone trans? That's like 90% of his videos, honestly.
Wearing a face mask? I'm not a bird expert,
You're messy, you know that?
but
I'm surprised he hasn't called the owner of this bird trans yet.
I can
Unless
tell
I
when
missed
someone
it.
is trying to dupe me.
There he is. He ate it,
Okay.
Hans. Or she,
That-
I guess
that's
I don't
it.
know.
That's as good as we'll get. How is
Hans!
this thing supposed to survive? And
The bird
clearly
ate
dupe
it. What
does
the
not
fuck
look-
are you
they
talking
tell a
about? You
story
said
about
it's
how
not
the dupe
eating
is, like,
it. It
super
is.
powerful, could crack open nuts. Like,
Big piece.
this bird is struggling.
Got it all?
It really isn't. It's just eating.
That's sad. Honestly, really, this is borderline animal abuse.
Feeding your bird a banana is animal abuse. Jesus Christ. That's a cute bird, though.
Still trying to swallow it.
Okay, does that seem like an animal that has evolved over millennia to be an amazing fruit and nut eater or whatever they're going to claim this to be, or does this look like a trained bird doing parlor tricks and barely succeeding at that? And just before I finish the video, I just want to clarify, of course I do not believe in evolution. I have tons of videos on the topic. When I was saying, you know, the toucan evolved over millennia, that's of course their story. I believe that all of the animals were created by God, and that's why it's not because of evolution over time scales that nobody can verify. Just complete
Hans.
appeal to authority, if you believe any of that stuff. No, I am a firm believer in creationism.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Anita Wu with 100 bits, Hans Wormhat, toucans don't exist. It's just a black bird with a fake beak. What kind of bird is it under the mask? I don't know. I'm not a bird expert, not a toucan though, because they're fake. I swear I'm gonna rub off the varnish on my fucking expensive desk because I use tinfoil on it so often. Let's see what else he's got. We got like 2 more hours of this, folks. Buckle the fuck in.
Hans Wormhat, this is a really good, interesting, conspiracy-related topic, and I maybe have mentioned it really briefly, but I've never made a video just on it. Empty houses, fake businesses, Disneyland storefronts, and yeah, so let's just get into it. So, the house that I grew up in, the house directly behind us, the story goes that it was a judge's house, but this house was empty, always empty.
Did you go inside the house, Hans? On what are you basing the idea that it's empty? The fact that you didn't see anyone outside? Because if the guy's a judge, A, he's probably relatively old. He's probably older, because it takes quite a while to become a judge, typically. And 2, he's probably very busy all the time, working on cases. So he doesn't necessarily have time to be outside. And if you're a judge, you're also probably making enough money that you can hire people to, like, mow your lawn and stuff for you. So you wouldn't necessarily see him. So what are you talking about, Hans?
The gardeners would come every week and make it look like somebody lived there. There were objects inside the house, but nobody was ever there. Maybe a handful of times during my entire childhood, you would see one person kind of walking around through the house, but who knows what.
Okay, Hans, that's the what? That's the guy that lived there, Hans. Hans, that's the person who lived there. They might have lived alone. What do you mean no one lived there? You're describing a person living in a house and then saying no one lived there. Ah!
they were even doing when somebody would be there. So what's up with this empty house?
Yeah, Hans's audio is completely inconsistent between videos. I have no idea why the fuck it's like this.
And just when you wake up, you kind of realize that in every big neighborhood with all these cookie cutter houses, there always seems to be a handful of houses that it's like, does somebody actually live there? It doesn't even really look like somebody lives there. There's no cars out front. And I just recently took a long walk. If you just take a walk through neighborhoods, you're like, I've never been through this neighborhood before, and you just kind of walk through it. When you look around, it seems like how many of these houses is just nobody lives in there? And I think it's part of the population hoax.
Hans, someone in the chat mentioned this, and this is true. Subdivisions sometimes have model homes in them, especially if it's a planned community. And secondly, sometimes homes are up for sale for a really long time. There are more empty homes in the United States than there are homeless people. That's an interesting fact, but it is the case. Sometimes people own real estate in order to rent it out, and they don't currently have renters. Sometimes people own properties and are trying to sell them, and they've already moved somewhere else, and no one's occupying them at the time. There are about 1,000,001 reasons why a house might be empty.
But also, some of these
Oh, he thinks the world population is much lower than it is purported to be.
houses, I think they could be owned by the cabal or, right, the Freemasons or whatever. I think they have some just like big houses that they have just there so that if they ever need to use it for some of their ceremonies.
Yeah, let me take a look at the bingo card. Yeah, anti-Semitism is usually on some of the them. I don't think I have it this time though. It's like something like thinly veiled anti-Semitism.
Or whatever, I guess they can use it. But also I think, yeah, it's just part of the population hoax. They want you thinking that there's way more people than there really are. And they could just, a lot of these houses could just be empty. Another thing I remember that's kind of recent, when I went to Florida not too long ago, and on the waterfront there's all these huge mansions.
Ancient wisdom has not been checked yet, as far as I know.
But they all look completely empty. If you owned a humongous mansion in Florida on the water, wouldn't you live there? Isn't that where you would be?
If you're rich enough, you might own multiple houses. For instance, when my... Oh, holy shit. Bumble Homestead, thank you for gifting 5 subscriptions. Damn, thank you very much. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. For instance, when my grandfather died, my cousin's boss lent them their house in Florida, which was like a tiny, I'm not going to say it's like a mansion, but it was a huge rich person house on the water. It was a house that literally had like a grand piano in the foyer. It's that kind of house. And it was ridiculous. And this person didn't even live there all the time because they were just a rich person. There are rich people who own multiple houses and don't live there year-round. My grandparents own a house here in Michigan and one down in Florida. People do this.
But they all look completely empty. Nobody lives there. They're just... I think those ones are just... They want you to think that there's all these rich people out there. And there really aren't. A lot of these Masonic trannies, like even my Rex dad has a lot of money, but like drives a Camry and reuses trash bags and stuff. So at the end of the day, a lot of these people that pretend to be rich, who knows if they actually are rich? I mean, people have noticed this about the celebrities too. They claim to be so rich, but it could just be an illusion. Really, what their payment is being idolized. They could not be rich at all in reality. Kind of connected with this, I've stayed before in a really nice hotel in San Francisco, and so our room was pretty high up in this hotel, like above the 50th floor or something, and there was, on the floor, there was like a executive lounge or whatever, and they had that wine and cheese, free wine and cheese. And so I went there, and it was me and my wife and literally one other family at this free wine and cheese. Okay, if there's going to be free wine, people are going to show up. So
Okay, there may not have been that many people in the hotel, in the nice hotel at the time. And secondly, if it really is a nice hotel, if you're rich enough, you're not necessarily going to have the time to go get free wine and cheese all at the same time as you. They might be doing something else. Other people definitely took advantage of the free cheese and wine. Cheese sounds delicious, by the way. Jesus Christ. Oh, that's a... Hannah mentions Hot Pocket / cheese. That'd do it. God damn it.
there was only a single other family on this entire floor. And I was there and I looked up at all these other floors way above me, and they looked completely empty. This hotel was so empty. Where are all the rich people? Where are all the people staying in this hotel? How does this hotel stay in business?
If Baja Blast gets it, it'll be hilarious.
It's just completely empty. And it's because these things is just Disneyland. It's just a front. At the end of the day, probably nobody really owns this hotel besides the cabal. And
this hotel, the one, are you talking about the one on screen? Because this is a North Korean hotel owned by the government that has never been finished. At least not entirely. I think there's 1 or 2 floors that got finished, but most of it's empty.
And it's part of their great illusion. And we even have truth in plain sight with the North Korea stuff. They tell us that North Korea has a fake city that's just there for show. Well, all your cities are fake, and a lot of stuff is just for show. I remember in Paris, walking around the streets, you would see these grand-looking apartment or even houses. I mean, I don't even know what they are. They just look like a place where somebody's supposed to live, but they look empty. You can feel the emptiness. It feels like just a shell, like a Disneyland front. And if
Hans, you should not be basing your worldview about whether or not there's a secret cabal building fake apartment buildings on whether or not the apartments you're standing next to feel empty. What are you talking about? You would need to demonstrate that they're empty. Do you have building occupancy sense? What kind of shitty X-Men power is that?
If you went behind there, there would be nothing. I remember reading some article, again, a Truth in Plain Sight thing, where they talk about, oh, did you know in New York some of the buildings are fake? It's a fake facade, and behind it is some like electrical stuff or some water pump stuff, or they...
That is true. In New York, there are some buildings that are just facades, and on the inside is electrical conduit stations or sewage areas that they have access to where there's, like, equipment. Like, yeah, that's a thing. It's so it looks nice.
They hide these things as a front. So maybe you have your own personal experiences that can attest to this. How many streets have you lived on where there's houses that just nobody ever lives there? It's not like the house is for sale or anything, but you can tell nobody lives there. How often have you walked around big cities and you can just tell that building doesn't look like anybody lives in it? How many of these big... So one thing that I think is a huge hoax...
Thank you,
are
Soviet
these
data, for
luxury,
following.
high-rise apartment buildings in cities. Nobody lives on the 100th floor of anything. It's just not... It doesn't make any sense. People don't like living up that high off the ground, first of all, because that's just freaky to live up that high. You wouldn't feel comfortable. And there aren't nearly as many mega rich people as they tell you. Nobody lives in these fancy flats up 150 stories off the ground in Dubai.
Thank you,
That just
Soviet
doesn't
data.
exist.
The outfit is
It's
keeping
just
me
like
from
a
the psycho
fake
waves.
hotel in North Korea. These people, it's just for show. They're probably just energy collection masts for the cities.
And the wand is just
So
for
it probably
style.
wouldn't even be healthy to live up in these things anyways. Okay, so that's it for fake buildings, fake residential type areas. And another thing is fake storefronts. So how often have you just noticed these stores that it's like, how does this place stay open? They've been in your city, so some things, like I can just think of a place where I live right now. There's a place that's like psychic. Come get your fortune read for $10. A palm reading. How could a place like that stay open? There's no way that they can make rent off of $10 palm readings. It's a front for something else.
There are unfortunately a lot of people who believe in psychics, so I disagree with that assertion. There are a lot of people who would pay for fortune tellings and palm readings and stuff like that, because there are a lot of people who are superstitious.
And that's just one example. Another example I can think of is...
A lot of those people are also probably doing not just the storefront, but nowadays there are actually apps and stuff that will, like, sort of like Tinder, or Grindr, I guess, but except it'll connect you with a psychic, and they can do readings, air quotes, for you over the phone or over, like, video chat or whatever.
When you go into...
It's a lucrative business. If you're fully okay with lying to people on a daily basis for a living, it's not bad.
A place you're like, huh, you know, you're bored or whatever, or you're just interested. What's in this place?
And hotlines.
And so you walk in the store, and there's like nobody in there, and it's completely empty.
Yeah, and money laundering, because it's a cash business.
Don't even see the owner.
That's the business to get into. Money laundering.
So you kind of walk around a little bit, and then out of the back comes this owner person, and they just look at you with this angry growl, like angry scowl on their face, just like, why are you in my store? And you can try to talk to them and stuff, and they're just mean to you. And you leave, like, bewildered. What the heck just happened? That was a strange store, and then the owner was just rude to me for no reason. That's not a real store. It's just a front for something. You can't have a business where you have no customers, and then you actually get a customer, and then you're just extremely rude to them until they leave. During the Pizzagate, I don't know, Pizzagate was part of my first...
Fuck! That's a QAnon. Pizzagate was a QAnon thing. Shit.
awakening process.
Bingo!
There was this place called Best Pizza.
Fuck yeah.
All the reviews for
Knob J got a bingo. Send your send a link. Just copy paste your bingo card link and send it to Baja Blast, and she will verify. And then if you already have a what the fuck was I? Oh, if you already have a subscription, I'll write your name down for next time. Do you already have a subscription? If so, I'll write your name down. And then next time it needs to be re-upped, let me know. Oh, God. Yeah, you do? Okay. I'll write your name down. And just remind me when it comes up, and I'll renew that for you. So that's the bingo winner for today. We can still play for fun, but only the first person gets it, so. Ugh. Nice.
For it are like, this food is disgusting, the people there are rude, I don't understand how a place like this is open.
Congratulations, it has been verified.
Okay, that's a storefront for something wicked going on behind the scenes. They just have this crappy pizza joint out front, but they don't care about their food, they don't care about their customers, it's fake, it's like a fake business. And what they're really doing is something sinister behind the scenes. So I hope this video was interesting, right? I'm not going super into depth, it's just to get you thinking about it, because I haven't really talked about it before. Alright, God bless everybody.
Let's see, what shall we do next? History is a lie, and the truth is in plain sight.
Hans Wormhat, somebody recently left me a comment about this, and it's just always a great topic, and something that I can just talk about very broadly. All of history is a lie, and BS, it is just all hearsay. There's no evidence.
Okay, Hans, if that's your standard, then yes, technically every single thing you are not directly present for is hearsay. But you're a human being with a fixed subjective viewpoint, and you can't be present for the vast majority of things that happen. Therefore, we have to rely on the accounts of others to let us know what's going on in the world and what has happened in the past. That's fine. That's why we independently verify these things with multiple sources, right?
For any of it. You just have to believe their narrative or you don't. And once you see that they lie about everything...
Klingon facts, can I please send you my Hans Wormhat fanfic? Please do.
That they said about history. It's a bunch of BS. It's a bunch of Masonic lies.
I can't read it on stream if it's TOS, though. I can't read, like, explicit sexuality stuff, if that's the case.
Masonic theater. Even if things really did happen, it was probably a piece of Masonic theater. You probably were watching theater happen. Nobody really died.
It's extremely gay. Good.
And in that way, you really can't believe any history at this point. Today, we're under the Great Deception, and yeah, well, these buildings prove it. These buildings are everywhere, all over most of the world, and it probably hints at a Babylonian empire that was over most of the world. And they'll just sell you some fake history about it. Oh, this building was built in 16, oh, whatever. No. This is all that you'll get of proof of. You get building photos like this, and sometimes they'll even say, like, oh, this is being built right now. Not for this image. I think that they'll even tell you here that they had to do some renovation. They're always renovating these things. And that's all
it's a historical building, Hans. What the fuck?
They've ever done. They might have to add on, they might be adding on a front part to it. Oh, now it's a new building. They add a new front door. But no, the main building that is sunk down, you can just see it sunk down.
That's right,
all over the earth. These buildings.
Thank you to Ice Swallow Cum OG for following. Ah ha ha ha. Funny. Got him.
Buildings were here before the Great Flood, and Noah's Flood is real, and that's...
Thank you. My girlfriend made me all this. It's fantastic. I'm very stylish and protected from the reptoids.
But it's just always been there. They didn't build it. Freemasonry. They're called Freemasons because they got the Mason stuff for free. They got these beautiful masonry buildings for free.
What? My brain hurts. Okay, no. The Freemasons...
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
The Stellar Sea Cow says the White House also almost collapsed in, the 60s or 70s, and they had to do major renovations on it. True. The Freemasons began as a guild of Masons who were not employed by others. They were freelancers, basically. They were free Masons. They were a guild of Masons. Freemasons. And then it turned into a social club. Okay? Okay.
Also, founding fathers, because they found all these things, and they built their new... The New World Order started out of... America, I think, is really when they went into overdrive with this taking over the world plan. And the founding fathers, they found it. They found this stuff. Finders keepers.
That's not what... Found... The... Synonyms! Synonyms! Or not synonyms. What's the word for words that sound alike but are different? Found and found? What the fuck's the word? Homophones! Thank you. It's a homophone.
They found these buildings. They just had to dig them out of the
No, they were founding fathers because they were men who founded the country as we know it today.
ground.
What's a
Yeah, look at
homonym?
these.
A homonym is like the word found can mean it sounds alike, but it can mean I found this lying outside, or I founded this organization. They're words that sound alike but have different meanings. That's what a homophone is.
They already look like they're sunk into the ground. The truth has been there in front of us. Look how dodgy this image looks. This was an image that I could find, but it looks so messed up.
They're constructing a building. What do you mean it looks messed up with cranes and stuff?
Yeah, that doesn't look right.
What doesn't look right about it, Hans? Be more specific so I can point out your bullshit.
Okay, so I guess this was one image that I found, but it looks so much like photo manipulation. And they do the same thing with Holocaust photos and.
Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Hans! Don't do it! Don't go from funny conspiracy to evil conspiracy, because you're right there, man.
But still, when you build a building, you don't build it with this like different type of brick at the bottom layer and the windows right at the ground level.
It's Hans, it's a design. That's the architecture of the building, and it has these horizontal lines, and then it doesn't up here. It's an architectural choice.
This just looks like some doctored up photo. But that was the only one I could find. I mean, look, it's already windows underneath the ground. So yeah, I think that they have to rebuild some stuff. They might even be able to find, like, when they found this stuff, they may have been able to reuse some of the columns and all that, but this is what they do. They spend a lot of time just maintaining these buildings, and it's always going under maintenance, and a lot of times they just demolish the buildings.
Yeah, because they're historical landmark buildings. They're like the Capitol buildings and the White House and stuff. They like to maintain a sense of continuity with those because they're symbols for the country.
Because it's just too much to keep the upkeep. There's very few people out there that know how to do this stonemasonry stuff. It's a guarded secret. I guess it used to look a little different. See, but then they can just come in and they'll just add new little pieces to it. I made this, you made this, I made this. You see this all over Trannyland. People will take claim for stuff that they didn't do. They found these buildings. The whole Art Deco thing. Art Deco is taking an old world building and just refurbishing it and slapping some silly designs on the outside.
That's not what Art Deco means. Art Deco is a specific style that was, like, popular during the modernist era. Jesus fucking Christ. The Stellar Sea Cow with 50 bits. Those windows are about 4 to 5 feet off the ground, Hans. I literally go to the Pentagon 5 days a week, 2 times a day when it's not COVID, and I've been in the Capitol and the White House a lot of times. I want to see Hans in D.C. I would pay good money for that. Oh, what do you do for a living, the Stellar Sea Cow? I'm curious, if you can tell me. Like, you don't have to, but, like, I'm just curious what you're doing that you're in the Pentagon so often. Graham Delfini with 200 bits. Much love from me and T-Dog. Thank you very much.
There's some buildings in my downtown that they're the Art Deco style. And you just look at it, what it is, it's the old world type buildings. It'll just be a building that looks kind of like this, and then they slap some star things on the outside. Finders keepers, losers weepers. This was a pretty good website that somebody linked me once. It had a lot of...
The History Channel should just make a series where they take Hans to see gorillas, toucans, and random shit. That would be great.
Photos of these old world buildings.
There was a show in the UK for a little bit called Conspiracy Road Trip, where they'd take conspiracy theorists to places to have stuff explained to them. For instance, they took 9/11 conspiracy theorists to Ground Zero. They took them to flight school to show them that it'd be relatively easy for the 9/11 hijackers to figure out how to fly a plane into a building. They took them to a person who's a demolition expert and had him explain stuff. Like, it's really
There's
interesting.
nothing funny about the tools of
They also
capitalism.
took like creationists to the Grand Canyon and had geologists talk about how long it took for all the canyons to be carved out via erosion. The Stellar Sea Cow with 50 bits. I work at a home security company. My bus transfer is at the Pentagon. Like, one whole side of the Pentagon is just transportation hub. Oh, I didn't know that. My office is about 3 blocks from the White House. It's a boring job, but I deal with a lot of crazy people like Hans. Yeah, I bet. Oh, boy. Still, pretty neat, though.
So I'll make sure to link that in the description. Wow. They don't make buildings like this anymore. Look how it's sunk.
Hans, on what are you basing the idea that this building is sunk into the ground? You can see where the doors are.
A lot of these buildings, you can tell they're sunk into the ground.
Oh, is he saying because you can see, like, little windows down here that he thinks that they were, like, full windows that were this size at some point? If a building sunk that much, it would have, like, collapsed, Hans.
It's from Noah's flood. The answer's simple, and it's right in front
There's
of you,
nothing
and it's
funny
been in the
about
Bible the
tools
whole
of
time.
capitalism.
Graham Delfini, XXOO, sorry, new to this bit thing. Thank you for the bits.
And that's one of their big MOs, is that they have to present you the truth. That's why they'll tell you the truth.
Yeah, we watched the Hitler transvestigation earlier.
They'll tell it as a joke. That's why they'll tell you history is a lie, agreed upon. Because it's part of their MO, it's part of the magic, and they believe in a karmic system, and they think that that gives them some sort of karmic release. Because they can go, well, I told
Shigeti
you.
Schwa,
I told
thank
that
you
it
for
was just a
continuing
lie.
your gift
So now you're the dumb
subscription.
one. And
Much appreciated. Glad you liked the
just the way it
stream.
is. Buildings in Denmark, I guess. Nobody
Why is the
builds a
Bible
building
the
like
only
that.
thing he believes? What makes the Bible trustworthy? See, this is why I wanted to have him on, to ask him questions like this, but he I don't think he wants to. He deleted my comments asking him to come on, so.
These were cool photos. They tell us that all of the major cities have big underground areas, and a lot of shady stuff goes on down there. The underground, that's a real thing. These up here are in Washington, and yeah, I live in the Pacific Northwest. We have the same looking stuff. You don't put windows underneath the ground.
Hans, have you ever been in a basement? There are often windows at the top of the wall, because basements, depends upon the basement, but like basements here. My basement in my house, for instance, has windows at the top of the walls, because the basement isn't entirely submerged. Many buildings do this so you can still get natural lighting into your basement.
And they don't build them like they used to. And if you go look at the old photos, the streets are empty. These are not the types of cities that gross looking people with horses and buggies, and you can tell that these cities were not built by people like that.
Let's see. No, didn't have the one I was looking for. Basically, the idea that, like, oh, people were dirty back then, so they couldn't have built buildings is, like, the weirdest, like, conspiracy theory I think I've ever heard.
And when you go watch the old videos and the old footage, you can tell that they're trying to put as many people as they can. They're trying to make it look like, oh, this is a hustling, bustling city. But it's very empty. Nothing looks inhabited, practically.
Have you
And
ever
even-
seen old pictures of New York? There are a lot of people there. You can also see, for instance, there's a video that's been colorized out there of like early 1900s New York that's very interesting.
And today, a lot of this stuff is Disneyland. You go to Paris, and there are so many really, really nice old-style buildings. And
I'm gonna say, yeah, that counts for racist disbelief of historical achievements. That's the one I was looking for on mine, but I didn't think I saw it. Like, I don't know if it's racist because... Oh, there we go. But it's definitely like a bigoted disbelief of historical achievements. He's basically saying these people were dirty, so they don't know how to build buildings.
You just look at it and you can tell that doesn't look like anybody actually lives there. There might be a guard sitting outside or something, but they probably just pay some guard a decent wage to just sit outside, and that's it, and probably nobody lives there. And I see that in my local downtown area. There's these beautiful old world above like prime location, but you just see like broom handles and it's just empty and unused. They don't want people using these buildings, so they just remain empty. Even today they're empty, but you can look at the streets like this and it's just so empty. They wouldn't build this much, and they don't even have the manpower to build this much. So it's another obvious truth.
They didn't build them all in one day, Hans. They didn't simultaneously build every single structure. He has a new one that came out today.
Hans Wormhat.
Okay, we'll watch this one later, because that's his newest one.
Even today, they couldn't build these cities if they wanted to. They just don't have the resources or manpower or coordination.
Coordination? What?
It would just be a nightmare. But of course, always be careful. These photos or something on this page where I got all those photos. Look at this person's name, Wiz33. And so that's just a point, deceiving and being deceived. Even these Masons don't know the answer. It's all compartmentalized in Trannyland. It's all ordered chaos. They don't go around telling all of them all the little secrets. It's up to people to teach their own, teach people that are close to them. They got to keep it like a secret, even among trannies. And they don't all know the answers. A lot of them are just so dumb, and their whole existence is just about TV and social media, and that's it. They don't think about this stuff. But there are some, people with the username Wiz33 are trying to figure it out, trying to figure out this mystery Babylon. So don't think that they have all the answers. It's very compartmentalized, this knowledge. You have to go submit yourself to the system to learn a lot of these truths. And yeah, history is a set of lies agreed upon. Napoleon Bonaparte's probably not even a real person. But this quote or quotes similar to this are often attributed to Napoleon.
What the fuck? The Napoleonic Wars shaped Europe for like, I mean, for fuck's sake, it helped lead into World War I, which led into World War II, as all big historical events tend to do. It moves forward. If Napoleon didn't exist and the Napoleonic Wars didn't happen, World War I probably wouldn't have happened the way it happened. World War II wouldn't have happened the way it happened. The entire political landscape of the 20th century would have been completely different. 9/11 wouldn't have happened. The invasions of the Middle East by the United States wouldn't have happened, which probably would have made different outcomes for like people like Trump. Like, you can't just remove people from history and act like things would have happened the same.
Probably not a real person. I guess an interesting thing, I've seen the tomb of Napoleon, and it's this huge casket looking thing. I mean, it doesn't even really look like a casket. It's just a strange box. Maybe it's a giant skeleton in there. I don't know. But the famous people, the Bible says that they were giants of old. So the actual descendants of angels mating with women. Not just like the inverts that we have today. Here's a quote by Mary Lou. I don't know who this is, but it's a truth. All it takes is one generation to brainwash a population and convince them that reality doesn't exist. And the second one by Vladimir Lenin. Give me just one generation of youth and I'll transform the whole world. What do you think of that? The word choice there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. God bless everybody.
Jesus Christ, Hans. All right, let's see what his most recent one is.
I believe that Jude is the best letter in the Bible, and here's why I think that. Well, first, before I start, I just want to make one point about Jude, that it's similar to Madonna. You know how we have this disgusting, degenerate pop false idol, Madonna, and they...
Hans, Madonna hasn't been popular for, like, don't get me wrong, she had a hit with Justin Timberlake in, like, the 2010s, early 2010s. But Madonna isn't really a popular pop star anymore. Can you get a more recent example, please?
They chose that name on purpose to be blasphemous. And I also think, in a similar way, one of the Beatles' biggest hits is Hey Jude. And I think that's on purpose, so that it's an association.
It's because I'm pretty sure it's named after, like, well, I know the song's about, like, John Lennon's son or something.
They want those associations. If you walk up to somebody on the street and you start talking about Madonna, where do you think their mind goes? If you walk up to somebody and you start talking about Jude...
Dude spanking dudes, should I try to talk to Hans in his comment section? You can give it a shot. He's deleted all of my comments and anyone else who mentions me. So good luck if you choose to do that. I mean, whatever.
I think that...
Because I tried to ask him on yesterday, and so did a couple other people, and he's like, no. I think he thinks I'm part of the cabal.
Even if you don't say, hey, Jude...
But look at me. Do I look like I'm part of the cabal? Of course not. I'm protecting myself from the reptoids. I'm on your side, Hans.
To somebody and say Jude, they would be like, what, you mean that Beatles song? And... so yeah, I think that's one big thing about the book of Jude. I guess another thing is, Jude is the very last letter. It's the very last book of the Bible before Book of Revelation. So it's like the penultimate. And I think that's really important. I think that the beginning of a book and the end of the book are very important.
Wait, penultimate means second to last. Did he just use penultimate to mean the last, or did I miss what he said?
Notice how churches often gloss over Genesis. They tell you, oh, Genesis, that's fantasy.
Yeah, because people know nowadays that Genesis didn't literally happen. And if churches say that, it's going to turn a lot of people off who aren't biblical literalists.
When Genesis is very important, there's a reason it's the beginning. And they also gloss over Revelation. People pretend like Genesis and Revelation don't matter, but they matter the most. It's the beginning and the end. And I mean, now that I just said that, think of that. God is Alpha, Omega, beginning and end. Why would the beginning of the Bible and the end of the Bible be stuff that you need to ignore? And that just shows you how evil and satanic this earth is. Almost every church will downplay or tell you that it's fantasy, the beginning and the end of the Bible. But wait, I thought God is the Alpha and the Omega. That's the first time I ever just made that connection. I think that's important. Okay, so let's read Book of Jude. This is my favorite letter. It's only a single chapter. I think if people can get a lot across in a short message, I mean, it's powerful. Jude is not about rambling on and on about things that aren't that important. It's just the most important things in here. That's why I love it. Jude, the servant of Jesus Christ and brother of James, to them that are sanctified by God the Father, and preserved in Jesus Christ and called, mercy unto you, and peace and love be multiplied. Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you and exhort you that ye should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints. So it's good. He starts out talking about the important thing. You have to follow Jesus Christ. Salvation is through Jesus Christ. And that's it. That's the most important thing. That's the most important message. Always try to include that anytime that you're trying to give out information. And there you go. For there are certain men corrupt and unawares. So the bulk of Jude is people.
Ugh, this is a boring one.
Here too, a state. Here, clouds they are without water. That Jude gives his Holy Ghost
nope.
here. Hans Wormhat.
Look, he shows this video. He just talked about how cities used to look so empty, but he's using a video of this in it. He must think it's fake. Ugh.
This is a video on time and talking about how time goes faster today than it used to. I don't know why I just made this connection, but you know how old footage, it looks like they're moving in fast motion. And this footage right here might even be time corrected.
That has to do with the frame rates of the camera, because cameras back then, a lot of them used the hand crank thing. You may have seen it in movies. They gotta manually turn the thing that spins the film, which means that the frame rate isn't consistent and it's jumpy and wrong.
Old footage, you're watching something that's been time corrected. But you know what I mean, where old footage looks like it's been sped up. Well, I think I finally understand what's going on.
It also skips more frames.
And it's just that time is not linear. Think of what time is based off of. Really, today we have Greenwich Mean Time, which is just...
It's Greenwich. It's a city, you fucking idiot.
Some time that they tell us. But obviously, it's supposed to have to do with the sun. It can't be noon, and the sun is setting, right? So time has to match up where noon, the sun is directly overhead.
It would depend where you are on the Earth. The entire Earth experiences the sun slightly differently because of axial tilt.
And at midnight is the opposite of that. Well, so what happens if days got faster?
Looks like he has a Facebook page. Holy shit. Hold on, let me look at that. Hans Wormhat. Oh my god. My old Facebook account that I never use. Oh god, why is it not? Hold on. Hans Wormhat. Oh, it says not Hans Wormhat. Nope. It was blacked out anyway, but still. Yeah, I don't think this is actually Hans. It's like a fan page, basically.
That's like time speeding up. I just think that's what's happened. I think that days are just faster than what they used to be.
Oh. Can you bookmark or send that to me then, Baja Blast? I'll take a look at it later.
Now, 10 seconds isn't what it used to be. And that's where I think this footage looking like it's sped up, I think it has to do with this.
Just like text it to me and I'll look at it later.
10 seconds today is much faster than what 10 seconds used to be. And it can be kind of confusing. You have to be really careful when you're thinking through these things. So I want to phrase it in a way that it might make sense to you. Because when you're dealing with this relativity thing, 10 seconds today isn't what it used to be. Time is going faster. It's easy to get yourself mixed up and think, well, shouldn't that mean that old footage should look slowed down? Or let me put it this way. Yeah, time is going faster. So 10 seconds today isn't what it used to be. Well, think of kind of the opposite of what that means. That means back in the Victorian era, 10 seconds was way longer than what 10 seconds today is. So take a 10-second clip from the Victorian era, and they can do a lot more stuff in it because 10 seconds was longer. So now what's happened is that 10 seconds has been compressed down into 10 new seconds, and it looks like they're moving in fast motion. So I'll just say that one more time. The way that seconds used to be, you used to be able to walk a farther distance in 10 seconds. So now if you compress that down to 10 today seconds...
Graham Dolfini says I asked Hans to talk to you, and Hans told me to go away. That's a shame.
So that's what's going on with this old footage looks sped up. Old footage looks sped up because you used to be able to fit more footage in 10 seconds of footage because the seconds ticked by slower. Did you know that grandfather clocks have an adjustment to speed up the clock or slow it down? If time was constant, they wouldn't need to have this thing where you could adjust the...
Okay, time, which is relative on the grand scale, but for the sake of people on Earth, it's relatively the same. The reason that you would adjust the thing on the grandfather clock is because sometimes clocks run fast or slow, and with age, different things can affect it. Humidity can affect some clocks. Like, it just depends. So in case your clock, for whatever reason, starts running a little fast or a little slow, you can use the dial to manually adjust it so it sets back up to be more correct.
the time. I mean, you might say that you would need, because just the way that things work, it's not going to work 100%. You're going to have to make tweaks, but I think it's more than that. I think that it's just that the length of days is not a constant thing, and time throughout our entire history, there's probably been speeding up times and slowing down times. It could be like magic related, or not. It could be God related, that God has to directly intervene to do these things, or it could just be the sun moves faster through all of its phases, and the moon and everything, just like a system being sped up or a system being slowed down. See, I don't know exactly how it all works.
No kidding.
But I do know stuff like this. Yeah, 1/1000 doesn't work anymore. And so to me, that just... Do people talk a lot faster? See, a lot of stuff might actually happen like that. Maybe we do talk faster today than what people used to. And I don't know. I think I'll get to it, and I have a slide talking about this later where I'll get more into that aspect. But all I know is things like this. Why doesn't 1/1000 work anymore? And it doesn't even work with respect to like my memory. I've only been alive for some 30 years, so things have changed drastically in that period of time.
Okay,
Just
Hans, if that were the case, then you'd be able to go look at TV shows from 30 years ago and see a difference in the speed, right? But that's not the case. So you're just counting wrong.
And the way that time works, it probably wasn't fast enough changes for anybody to notice anything. We're just living at a very special time, and not a different kind of special time. Biblical days, things were more spiritual.
Sexy Baphomet says, "Ah, yes, 1/1000, the universal constant." Who needs atomic clocks, hey? The thing I learned in kindergarten. That's the real standard.
A lot more miracles happening, spiritual things. It's like a lot of that magic has just been turned off. God is like, I've tried to show you guys that I'm real, and God used to be present with people in various miracles, and people still were stiff-necked and turned away from it. And Jesus already came and spread the gospel, and everybody has access to the gospel today. So God's just not performing miracles anymore. It's not the time for that. And
that's convenient.
So I think it just has to be. It's just end times prophecy. I don't know how else to explain it. Time is going faster. Here's an interesting thing. This is a great area for future research. I'm just now starting to kind of look into this stuff. It's just a hard topic. I don't know exactly where to look, but here's one idea that I had. Perfect boiled eggs, and a soft-boiled eggs takes 6 minutes. Soft-boiled eggs, I mean, these look really soft-boiled. Cook 6.5 minutes. And then here was this very old recipe for soft-boiled eggs. And I just noticed that this is a very, very old recipe. At least I was looking on Google. Google is so useless today. You try to look up old recipes, and all you get is like 3 pages of advertisements for current blogs with recipes, and Google sucks now. But anyways, I thought this was interesting. Let them cook for 3.5 minutes. Did it really only used to take 3.5 minutes to make a soft-boiled egg?
Those were probably very soft-boiled eggs.
Which would make sense with, if old seconds were a longer time, 3.5 minutes would have been sufficient to make a soft-boiled egg. Whereas all the information I can find today, nothing said 3.5 minutes to cook an egg. So... But here's just an idea. This would be one way. Does stuff take longer, more minutes to cook today than really, really old recipes? I don't know. That's a topic of research.
The recipe says small eggs. I didn't even notice that.
Could look into. Here's another one.
Oh, that's probably a good point, too. If it's an older recipe, eggs people were using back then were probably somewhat smaller than the eggs from chickens today. Because we've bred chickens to make bigger and bigger eggs.
Old people used to look older. That's something that people have mentioned to me, that 70-year-olds used to look really old.
Oh yeah, and they were cooking on an open flame, which has more consistent and quick heating, so yeah.
And today, 70-year-olds can look really young, and, 40 is the new 30. People today that are 40 years old can look 30 years old. Although, I don't know, the inverts... Oftentimes they look really old for their age because they're abusing hormones and plastic surgery. I'd say especially natural humans that aren't abusing things look very youthful for the number that they are.
Correct, which is why people look younger now, because A, quality of life and healthcare has improved, but also people are drinking and smoking less than they have in the past. So people don't look like they've aged as quickly.
I don't feel like I'm a 30-year-old. But that's what the calendar says. Because that's kind of the flip.
Hans, I hate to break it to you, but no adult feels like an adult. We're all faking it.
Flip side. Why do high schoolers from past decades look so much older than they, or why do high schoolers today look so young? And it's because time is going faster. By the time you've made it through all your grades, way less time has passed because time is just moving so much faster today. Or going back to the old person, by the time you've reached 70 years old, you really haven't spent as much time as somebody who had been around 70 years back when time was really, really slow. Here's just an interesting thing. You know how... Think of Victorian era
I'm not going talk says. Is that true? I'm 21 and I don't feel like I'm entering adulthood. Am I not the only one? Everyone feels like this. Everyone is faking it. Look at me, for fuck's sake. I'm 26 and I'm in a fucking tinfoil suit. No one knows what they're doing. No one ever does. Don't let anyone lie to you.
Things like Moby Dick were huge. Could you imagine a 500-something page book being like the new media sensation? Things were just much more slow-paced, and things today are just for fast consumption. And I think it just has to do with the fact that there's less time. People don't have a ton of time to sit around reading these huge, boring stories about a whale, whereas...
Hear that, Herman Melville? You hack?
Back in the day, that was the most exciting thing happening. Now we got memes, little bite-sized entertainment. They just throw it away.
Memes have always been a thing. The internet has just made them easier to spread.
Today, everything is cheap and fast. Because there's no time to enjoy anything. It's all about YouTube 10-minute videos. No, practically nobody watches movies anymore, does that.
What? What? Avengers Endgame came out like a year and a half, 2 years ago, whenever the fuck it was, I don't know. I'm all fucked up because of the coronavirus stuff, so years are a little cloudy for me at this point. People still go to the movies. At least they did before coronavirus. Theaters are packed for big summer blockbuster movies. What are you talking about?
That's very passé. People have quick, easy to digest
This is the kind of thinking that made Quibi happen. Is Hans Wormhat one of the founders of Quibi?
Fast, cheap entertainment. Whereas back in the day, we had stuff like Moby Dick. Why don't the 2000s and 2010s feel like a distinct decade? Maybe
Because the 2010s literally just ended. You need some distance from them. For instance, if you asked in the year 1990, what are the 80s? People probably wouldn't like, I don't know. Because you need some distance and some, what's the word I'm thinking of? Some difference between the two before you can really see, in contrast, what is different and what is distinct about that decade.
because there literally isn't enough time in those years.
You can point to many things. When I think of, like, the 2000s, I think of, like, Nokia phones and flip phones and like, scooters and post 9/11 fear-mongering, stuff like weird MTV reality shows like Cribs. The 2010s, I think more the Marvel movies, iPhones, the huge expansion of the internet into every avenue of our lives, stuff like Twitter, whatever. Facebook became more prevalent in the 2010s. Like, there are distinct decades, man.
To give the sense of a feeling of a decade. Whereas in times past, in 10 years, there was plenty of happening, plenty of time. And something I haven't talked about yet, have you noticed that articles just seem like they're written by AI bots today? And it's probably because
because some of them are. Some news articles are very specifically written by, like I don't know what the word would be right for them. But yeah, some ad articles, especially ones that are effectively advertisements, are written by, like, bots.
it's just not
that are
enough
designed to, like, plug information into templates and stuff.
time to keep interesting stories happening every day, that they literally have computer AIs writing BS stories just to fill the space. And why is everything a remake? Is Hollywood out of new ideas? Maybe it's because people are being forced to keep producing content in these short time frames. They have less than...
I guarantee Hollywood is at no shortage of spec scripts that have been sent to different studios and are kind of passed around. But Hollywood, being a money-making machine, tries to maximize profit and minimize risk in their business ventures. Therefore, as it turns out, people are more likely to go see a movie in a franchise or series that they're already familiar with, because movie tickets are incredibly expensive nowadays. So, instead of wasting money on making a picture no one has heard of, with no-name actors, whatever, in a series that's brand new, people are less likely to see it. So there's a higher risk.
less times. They don't have time to come up with new stories and make all these new universes to explore. They have to come out with the movies still, so they just tons of remakes today. I think it's literally a case of there is not enough time for people to come up with interesting new ideas. What about, this just popped in my mind, what about all those...
And by the way, there are plenty of new things coming out. Often they are on television nowadays, because television budgets have gotten so high that new ideas get tried out on TV more often. Look at stuff like Game of Thrones. Look at stuff like Breaking Bad. Look at stuff like Better Call Saul, which is, I guess, in the Breaking Bad universe, but I'd still consider that sort of part of the trying things. Stranger Things, while it relies a lot on nostalgia, it isn't part of any already done series. The Witcher, which is based on a book series and the video games. There's tons of examples of TV shows that are not based on some already treaded franchise.
You know, bands like Tool, where they stopped making music for like 10 years. It's probably because 10 years isn't what it used to be. They're taking a lot of time off because they have to. They just can't come up with new ideas all the time, and you can't be expected to push out an album every year anymore because there's not enough time. Another thing that I have thought of similar to this, have you noticed how many TV shows have like 9 seasons. It's not even a good TV show, and there won't even be that many people watching it, but there will be like 9 seasons of it. Whereas
It depends on what show you're talking about. If you're talking about something like Big Bang Theory, for instance, I'm not really a fan of Big Bang Theory. However, a lot of people are. Just because I don't like something doesn't mean a bunch of people don't watch it. It's probably also not a very expensive show to make outside of paying the actors, especially John Cryer, since he's like the big guy on that show. Shows can go for a very long time as long as they're profitable, and everyone involved continues to want to work on the project. That's not strange.
as in times past, for a TV show to stick around for 9 years, it would have to be a cultural phenomenon, a really important thing to be sticking around that long.
That's because there used to only be 3 networks. Nowadays, there are I wouldn't even say nowadays because cable's kind of on the way out, but for the past couple decades, we've had an explosion of channels on cable and stuff like DirecTV. So there are hundreds of channels that all need to fill time slots with content. So that breeds the need for tons of episodes of new shows. So shows will go on for longer and more shows will get made. Something similar happens now with streaming services. You see Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and Disney Plus all putting tons of money into original new content, specifically because they need content to get people to pay for their service. There's more demand in general for this kind of stuff because you can watch this stuff anywhere nowadays on your phone or tablet or laptop or whatever. As long as you got Wi-Fi or a cell phone signal, you can be watching something or listening to something or whatever. Content is huge. Content is king in the land of streaming.
But it's like nowadays every show has like 8, 9 seasons. It's crazy.
That's not true. Most shows do not have 8 or 9 seasons. An average show will probably get 3 or 4. Your really big shows like Game of Thrones will get maybe 7 or 8. Breaking Bad got to 5. Better Call Saul's getting to 6 or 7, I forget. But most shows do not go that long unless they're reality shows, which of course reality shows do because they're super cheap to make.
Why do schools not
Good Omens was great.
teach cursive anymore? Maybe there's just not enough time.
The first season of American Gods was good too, which is also based on a Neil Gaiman book. But I heard the second season wasn't as good because the showrunner left.
Time to teach all these things, and things have to get dropped. I have personal experience in education, and I can say that, kids these days, they don't know anything.
When he says he has personal experience in education, he means he homeschools his kids. He does not have a degree or anything.
They can't, maybe they literally had a lot less time to learn the garbage, and that's part of why they come to things so ill-prepared. Children come to university so badly.
Have I seen Over the Garden Wall? No, I have not. I've seen, I think that's a Cartoon Network show. I've seen Adventure Time and Adventures of Flapjack, and I gotta catch up on Steven Universe. What's the other one? Gravity Falls is great. There's a lot of good animated shows these days.
Prepared today, and part of it could just have to do with they literally don't have enough time to teach all the stuff that they used to teach. And yeah, I've taught, and part of teaching, a big part of teaching, is
I haven't seen Infinity Train. It's on HBO Max though, which I got recently because it just came out, so I'll watch it eventually probably.
Constantly reinventing.
Yeah, Baja Blast hates animated shows for some reason. I do not know what her issue with it is. It's so strange.
Courses. They're always reinventing courses, adding things, dropping things, and I'll say dropping things. Usually today, it's all about they gotta cut content, gotta make stuff easier, gotta be more accessible to everybody, and students are whining and complaining.
Which is so weird because I got her into Rick and Morty, and she likes Rick and Morty, so I guess I don't understand why she has this whole, bias against animation.
I think just part of it is we can't expect the same amount of people, or we can't expect the same amount of work in the same...
In general, I don't like animated shows just because I don't like animated shows. particular reason
Okay.
why I won't watch that.
Oh, does it involve another person that shall not be named?
Oh, we can name him. We
Oh.
can dox him. I don't fucking care.
Okay, we're not gonna
He
dox
can
him.
die.
We're not gonna dox him. Gotcha. That's understandable then.
Same time frame anymore.
This is
Where-
his Facebook profile.
There's nothing funny
Oh,
about the tool of
yikerinos.
Yeah.
Tucker White 24, 100 bits, that's all, thank you. Okay, that's fine, then I understand.
Yeah.
That's a shame, though, because that show is a ton of inclusive characters and
It
stuff.
literally runs a Steven Universe Facebook fan page.
Ugh.
Whereas
That's weird, because that's like a show that's like super inclusive and like all about like, hey, love people for their differences and everyone's great, and, you know. It's very
the
strange.
irony is not lost on me.
Jesus.
you really used to be able to expect
Yeah, I know you guys don't understand, sorry. Gotta talking past you guys here.
I had an abusive asshole ex that I was with for 4 years, and he's obsessed with Steven Universe. He was a fucking dick and a moron, and I hope that he sees this and knows how awful he is.
Oh, God. Yeah. He was a fucking ass.
people
Anyway.
to learn a lot. Now classes, they just zoom by so fast that there's not enough time to teach the same amount of stuff, and things have just gotten easier because of that. What happened when I tried a 1950s housewife schedule? People used to sweep.
I've been over this one before. He talks about the 1950s housewife schedule, and it's clear to me he's never done chores in his life.
And mop every day. There's not enough time to do that
Yeah. That crazy schedule.
anymore. There literally isn't enough time. You couldn't be a 1950s housewife today. Could you imagine? Yeah, it was just an interesting read. I don't have any more screenshots of this, but just talking about how, the schedule of a 1950s housewife back then. Reading it, it's like absurd to think that somebody could get all of that accomplished today in one day. Not even possible. Not even physically possible. Things used to be built to last. Maybe things used to be built to last because just time was longer.
No, it's called planned obsolescence. Also, it typically is more cost-effective to build things cheaply, and they will break faster, but hey, you've already sold the product, who cares?
Think of how you buy something today and it lasts you like a month. That would have been like buying something back in the day and it lasts like 2 days or 3 days. Maybe things were built back then to last, because if something was built to last 10 years back then,
Sorry,
in
Chad,
10
I'm
years
fucking with shit.
was like a
Yeah, he's married and has children. He homeschools the children.
really, really long time, you just had to build it to last forever.
Please don't hit the microphone. That makes a noise.
I know.
And today, they can make something super cheap, China, out of all robotic-made plastic parts, and they can get it to last for 5 years, even though it's so cheap. They can get it to last long enough, on average, that they don't have to build anything to last anymore. Oh, you have nothing to complain about. That thing lasted for five years, which is exactly how long. Notice things tend to explode right after their warranty's up. If you buy something with a 2-year warranty, 2 years comes around and it starts breaking. That planned obsolescence. Three Little Pigs. You can build your house out of hay or wood or brick. What are American houses built out of these days? Wood and drywall. Things aren't built to last.
Correct. But they're also cheaper to make, which makes the barriers to entry lower in terms of entering the housing market. If we made every house out of entirely brick, it would be prohibitively expensive to build real estate most of the time.
Europe, especially France. I mean, French people are really snooty and think down on a lot of other people. They laugh at Americans and they think it's so silly. Oh, you build your houses there out of wood, out of sticks. How long do you think that's going to last? And just think of the huge medieval, the forts and all the... People don't build like that anymore. Just nobody has the time. It would take like 20 years. And
It's not a time thing, it's a cost-saving measure.
Stuff's not built to last because just time is fast and
And for the record, my house is like 100 years old. Almost.
Part of it.
90 years old. Yeah, there was probably additions at some point.
There was, you can tell.
Which parts?
The bedroom, basically anything that doesn't have those grates.
That makes sense. Anyway, this house was built in the early 30s, so within 10 years, this house is going to be 100 years old.
cheap today. I'll end on kind of, this gets into more conspiracy type stuff, but I think it's a good, think of the implications. Circadian rhythms, because I think of stuff like, okay, my very quick research into soft-boiled eggs, maybe it does take longer to make a soft-boiled egg, but then you might ask stuff like, well, why doesn't a baby...
Basically, he looked at a recipe for soft-boiled eggs from the early 1900s, and it said 3.5 minutes, but more recent recipes use 6 minutes. And
Are they in different elevations?
It could be different elevations because water boils differently at different elevations. It could
Eggs
also
are
be,
bigger
I was
now?
going to say that too, yes. Eggs are bigger because of selective breeding. Other than that, I don't know.
Maybe take like a year and a
Nothing
half
funny about the
to
tools of
make.
Tucker
capitalism.
White with 100 bits. Maybe it's just me, but this guy just radiates charisma. It's totally not putting me to sleep at all. I know. He's a well of it, I'm telling you.
That time is going faster. And it probably has something to do with circadian rhythms.
I'm like really
Humans
trying hard to figure out
Our biological
Hans
system
Wormhat
is
actually
very
is.
in tune with the sun, the day-night cycle.
There's nothing
So
funny
it could
about
just
the
be that
tools
our
of
bodies have
capitalism.
kind of adjusted.
Anita Wu with 1,000 bits, quote, research. Thank you very much.
to this circadian
Can't
rhythm
believe there hasn't
change.
been another hype
And
train with
I'll just leave it at that
all
because this
the
isn't something
Yeah,
that I've
it's just
studied
been
on.
spaced
But
out a
it
little
brought me
more.
to the idea of underground cities, mole
Thank
people.
you, Sir Prize.
What if down in underground cities,
Math
they're still running on
Fakar
the old clocks?
for following.
What if they have
Stellar
a
Sea
day
Cow
night
with 80
cycle
bits.
underground
Thank you.
where time goes more slowly still? Think of that. What if you were raised underground where they had totally different day-night cycles that were much, much longer than today's, that it feels like the day's over and nothing happened? What if there's a place underground where it's totally different? Think about that. What if you were born in that condition? Would you live longer because you have less days? I don't know, just things to think about. There's this Rose Hannah channel. I hate it because the fact that, I mean, obviously they have a 7 as their icon. These
Talk about me, you coward.
Oh,
black
I
and
hope he
white.
does.
There's
But they
nothing
do
funny
talk
about the tools
Oh,
of capitalism.
fucking hell. Fu Manchu gifting 5 subs. Thank you very much.
Yay!
Oh, gosh.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
I get to do fun things.
Mm-hmm.
about this interesting stuff about how late night
So
talk
the
show
fun
hosts,
thing
it
is we're
seems
gonna
like they're speaking.
Cook Hannah alive. We're gonna put her in the oven. She's already wrapped up. Gonna get some butter.
I accept this. This is, I think, always how I thought it was going to end, so.
Yep.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
I'm just gonna eat you. We're not gonna have a beautiful fall wedding.
in this garbled language just in front of
There's
everybody.
nothing funny about the tools
And
of capitalism.
it just made me think of, yeah, for whatever reason, I'm pretty sure that there's a whole group of people that they do live underground, and it just clicked to me, they probably live on old time. They probably have
There's
completely
nothing funny
different
about the
day-night
tools of
cycles.
capitalism.
Maybe that has to do with
Oh
vampires
shit,
coming out
Anita
during the
Wu
night, 'cause they
gifting
just have totally
5
different
more
cycles than us.
subs. Oh
Wearing
god.
sunglasses all the time, photosensitivity
Oh
stuff.
god,
I
if
don't know
we
it
are
ties
here
into
with
this,
1,
but
2, 3, 4, 5, 6
I think it's just an
100 bits,
interesting thought
hype
that
potato
there could
hype,
be people that live on totally
MW1642
different
with 300
time
bits, oh my
scales because of
god.
day-night cycles.
Balthazar with 100 bits,
And
roast
we have the
Hannah.
idea of the wandering Jew.
There's
Verily
nothing
I
Oh,
say unto you,
God!
there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of
Shiggity
Man coming in
swarm
his kingdom.
schwa.
No, maybe this is
with
one
5
individual that
tier
God
1
cursed
subs
to walk
gifts.
the earth until Jesus comes back. Or maybe there's
McSqueeb117
something
hype
else to this.
train.
Maybe- No, Jesus
Oh
could have
no!
been 200 years ago.
If we are
And
here
that's today's time.
with a
So
bunch more
I think it's
subs.
very possible that there are
Holy-
people that live in timescales that we don't know about, that the general populace doesn't know about. Everything is so tainted.
You guys are
today
great. Thank you very
our
much.
lifespans are nothing like. I mean, we know that people in biblical days lived for a long, long time. So, okay, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. God bless everybody.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Devious Chillster, thanks for gifting a sub. DM Trey, thanks for gifting a sub. Woo.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Am I going to be able to fly after this?
Yeah.
Thank you, Cupcake Chaos, for gifting a sub. Jake is streaming. I'm probably going to go for like another half hour, and then I'll turn you guys over to him.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Is he? I don't see his thing. I believe you. I didn't see his thing. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. A little bit later, I'll,
There's nothing
raid.
funny about the tools of capitalism.
If you want to have wings on the suit, that would be cool, but I know it's like a ton of work, so whatever you can handle.
There's nothing
Bits for the
funny about
tinfoil
tools of
fairy
capitalism.
godmother. Thank you very much.
There's
I
nothing
feel
funny about the
powerful.
tools of capitalism.
If we look at you directly, soon we'll go blind. True. Drakewing, thank you for gifting a
Nothing funny
sub.
about the tools
No
of
moving.
capitalism.
I will not move at all, except for my wrist to pick a video.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I
There's
can
nothing
do.
funny about the tools of capitalism.
It's a good question.
Oh god, it was another level 5 hype train? Or
Yeah,
was it-
300% of it.
Ugh.
You could make me a second
There's nothing funny
cane,
about the tools of capitalism.
so I could, like,
Let's just...
Anita Wu with 200
I'm gonna...
bits. You're gonna tinfoil the mic?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Chat, you're fucking awesome. Thank you so much.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Yeah. Oh, glasses. You could do the glasses. Like you did before.
Yeah. You might want to mute the
There's
mic.
nothing funny about the
It's less
tools of
awkward.
capitalism.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute this for a second while this happens.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism. There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Fuck it, I'm gonna make you
All
actually,
right.
like, complete tinfoil bust.
Oh god.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Thank you for all the bits, everyone who's given bits while I was muted. The Stellar Sea Cow, Nimnix, Nimnix again. Thank you so much. Just gotta get the
Nothing funny about
glasses
the
and I'm
tools of
perfect.
capitalism.
This is going to be...
Oh, that's not Hans.
There's nothing funny about the tools of
You guys
capitalism.
are all very lucky that I can visualize things and make them.
Yeah.
Hans Wormhat. I haven't talked
There's
about
nothing
penguins
funny
in a long
about the
time.
tools of
Penguins are a big
capitalism.
hoax animal, as in penguins in Antarctica. Now there is a type of aquatic bird that is black and white splotched.
There's nothing funny
Maybe
about
you've seen
the
them at the
tools of
zoo. I've seen them
capitalism.
at the zoo.
Holy
And the
shit.
first time that I saw
Sky
them at
King,
the zoo,
thank
I
you
was
for
kinda like,
gifting
okay, well, that's not
10
what I
subs.
expected.
Oh my god!
You know, when somebody
Jeez,
says
you guys are
penguins this way,
awesome.
Let's go see the penguins.
There's nothing funny about
In
the
your
tools of
mind, after all
The
capitalism.
jar
programming that you
floweth
see, you're like,
over.
oh, okay, I'm gonna go see these things. But when you go
It
to the
does.
zoo
Oh
and
my
see a
gosh.
penguin, it's just a black and white splotched aquatic bird. You'll never see
Tregan
this
Mike
type of
73,
penguin. You won't see a macaroon
100
penguin.
bits.
The ones that you remember being fascinated by as a child, you don't see those. You just see kind of a plain looking black and white splotchy aquatic bird. Okay, it's not this.
There's nothing funny
These are
about the tools
hoaxes,
of
and this story is
capitalism.
ridiculous. People will believe anything. Giant 6'8" penguin discovered in Antarctica. Okay, I'm just gonna say this really quick. I have a
There's nothing
video on it
funny
somewhere.
about the tools of
I
capitalism.
do not believe, you know, the biggest flat Earth, I don't know, deception. All of the people. Just think of how all of the people
There's nothing
who
funny about
are
the tools of
leaders of
capitalism.
the flat Earth movement, how they all just agree on the map, and the map makes no sense. Think of the North.
Can someone
Think
like
of
screenshot me
Alaska,
right now and tweet it
Canada.
at me at Hannah Reloaded, please? I
There's
want to
nothing
tweet
funny
this
about
later
Siberia.
because holy
Capitalism.
shit, this is an amazing
These are
outfit.
immense,
You've outdone yourself,
icy
Baja.
lands.
This is fantastic.
What does the flat Earth shill map do? It smushes all of
Hold
those
on, I'll
icy...
even make myself bigger.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Oh god, I'm way behind everything. Let me find a different camera to do. How's this?
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
One sec. Let me delete that. Delete. Yes. Delete. Yes. Add. Camera. Add the camera. Somebody screenshot this.
Wait, you have to wait for the glasses.
Oh wait, gotta wait for the glasses.
They're almost done.
He's the only true flat earther. This is true. I need a foil persona name. That's true. Anyone have any suggestions for my tinfoil form name?
Shiny Hannah? Okay.
Oh my goodness. Everyone take all the screenshots and send them to me on Twitter
No.
at Hannah Reloaded. Oh
Wait
no.
a second.
She's fixing it. Hold on.
The things weren't long enough. The arms.
My foil Sona. That's pretty good. Anita Wu with 200 bits.
Alright, give me like 30 more seconds. Jack.
Okay. 30 seconds.
I swear to God, if somebody starts the clock, I'm gonna just kill him.
Hannatron. That's pretty good.
Oh, come on. Like, something with shine.
The Bright Queen.
The bright queen. You know, when I started dating you, I don't think I ever imagined this.
That's how I get them. You just start with innocent Twitter DMs, ends in foil cocoon.
It is possible chat is correct in that you have some sort of, like, kink thing having to do with...
I wish I was that interesting.
I guess stick them
Yeah.
through there.
Oh god.
It's okay, it's okay, it's gonna work. Don't worry. Just keep your eyes closed. Okay. I'm really trying for you, chat.
Screenshots. Yes, screenshots now. Send these to me at Twitter at Hannah Reloaded, please. Thank you very much.
You're such a cutie.
Is everyone done screenshotting?
Alright. I hope you all appreciate.
Thank you, Nilbog.
Huge, which are supposed to be huge. These immense ice lands
Aluminium.
all get
I like
smushed into
that.
the center.
Aluminium? Fuck
How does
yes,
that make
that's
any
it.
sense?
That
And then
wins.
They have Antarctica as this immense
I have
ice
transcended.
ring
This
They're
isn't
thinking
even
of
my
it
final
Right,
form.
fascistic propaganda.
around. Look at the
Thank you,
Golden
Swole
Dawn
Evol,
inverse,
for
so they're
following.
lying to you. The obvious truth is that the north, those immense icy lands, that's the ice wall. The north is the ice wall around us. And the south is the center. I've never been to Antarctica. I don't believe that they allow normal people to go to Antarctica. I think they'll stop you if you try to go there. I don't think it's icy.
Okay, then try and go to Antarctica, Hans. Give it a shot. See how it turns out.
I just don't think that Antarctica is icy. If you do the Google Earth thing and you go look at Antarctica, you know, we're supposed to have satellites all over that can photograph everything. But Antarctica, you can tell, is just really bad Photoshop stuff. It's not reality.
Anything Hans hasn't
Back
personally
to-
seen
Okay,
is
back to
bad
this. Penguins are a
Photoshop.
hoax.
Fun fact.
This type of penguin is a hoax. There is a species of black and white splotchy aquatic birds, but this is puppetry, midgets in suits. These days, just CGI. It's Photoshop. They will tell you the truth, though. Modern emperor penguins are certainly statuesque. These could just be model. This could just be taxidermy. A fake animal.
Taxidermy is specifically non-fake
Statuesque.
animals. Thank you, Deep Southern Man, for hosting. I'm almost done,
Oh
though.
You can read it. The size is almost
Excuse
me. The size is almost incomprehensible. It's not real.
I think I should invest in various clothing items that
They
we can
seriously, they
put
talk about
tinfoil
LeBron James
on.
multiple times, so I don't know what's up with that.
So they can be like an actual
The birds,
cane that we could
37
tinfoil
million
up or something.
year old fossilized remains. They can always nail it down to exactly.
True.
Well, you know, exactly 37, not 36 million years ago. They'll never
Maybe
give you
buy
confidence
some like
intervals.
costume wings and tinfoil them over.
This dating stuff, it's
Or just
BS.
get
They
some
can just pull out
wire
whatever
and
numbers they want.
tinfoil
And
them
37,
in the
like
shape of
3
wings,
sevens.
so they're a more permanent thing.
This article, I don't want to get into the number coding, but it was heavily 7 number coded, just things adding up to multiples of 7. It was truly the Godzilla of aquatic birds. Well, what's Godzilla? A made-up monster. Right? They will tell you what is going on if you get the game. The game is, it's all a joke, it's all BS, it's all a lie. And to have fun with it. They want to have fun with it.
At the end of this
So
video, I'm
they
going to
will
hand you
openly
guys over
tell
to
you
Jake.
things, and if you're reading it's a new type of reading
'Cause I am
comprehension where
baking.
you need to just start to take things
At
literally.
3:50
Just
for
literally
4
take things at
hours.
face
True.
value and see what people are telling you. They're telling you it was truly the Godzilla, because Godzilla is a fake, made-up monster. Okay, I mean, see, here's just an example of the 7. There were just all sorts of things, like 14s, which is double 7, 25. 2 plus 5 is 7. I mean, whatever.
Jesus.
The point is they just make stuff up. And there's certain numbers that they like more than other numbers. That's really all that's about. It's like, whose line is it anyways? The main point of whose line is it anyways is that the points are made up and nothing matters.
That is not the main
that's a
point.
reflection of reality.
You've missed the point that's not the point, Hans.
It's fun to imagine a time between 35 and 40 million years ago. They just want your head in these bizarre spaces that don't exist. Years of that magnitude doesn't exist. They want you thinking about outer space land where distances that just don't exist. They want you thinking of galaxies far, far away that just don't exist. They just want your head up in the clouds. I'm just gonna end with these. These are photos that I have no idea why not everybody knows about. Not these ones. There's a lot of just obvious fake penguin stuff out
Yeah,
there. But
that's
if
a
you
joke.
go back and you look at the very first, what they tell you is the first Antarctica expedition. Look at the penguin photos from that. They're really bad taxidermy, like really, really, really bad.
What?
So if penguins were real, why did they have
Jake
to
has
fake
a
them in the
trash
past?
can with
Real
Sargon's
animals
picture
don't
in the
look
background of the
really
screen,
obviously
though.
fake in the past, and now they look more realistic. That's not how real animals work. Look, they're obvious puppets.
Fu Manchu, I'm so glad I subscribed to your stream. With so many bad things going on in the world, seeing you reach your transition fun goal and really embrace your real self has been inspiring and genuinely makes me happy for you. Thanks for being awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
See how funny
Proud of you, Hannah.
that people believe this? It's so funny what people will believe. Seeing is believing, right? God bless everyone.
Okay, we're gonna raid Jake. So thank you everyone for coming to the stream. Thank you for so many gift subs and bits and everything. I really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow with just a regular stream for you guys. And I hope y'all have a great night. Really. Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
I'm probably going to end up debasing myself by dressing up in a thing. Hannah, thanks for the raid as well. How did the tinfoil go? Dopes Monk, thanks for the 100 biddies. We have 1 minute and 20 seconds. 1 minute and 20 seconds to get to level 5. And I'm wearing the corn suit. Verk, Saudi Oil Prince, thanks for the 2. Verk, thanks for the 1. Bailey, thanks for your prime. Tucker, thanks for the 100. I am trying my best. Captain Diabetes for the 16 months. MW1642 with the 300 biddies. Keep in mind, every 100 bits gifts 1 emote to chat. Every sub gifts 5 emotes. So Fu Manchu just gifted 5 tier 1 subbies. Thank you so much. Which is also 25 emotes. Phoenix Führer with a tier 1. Appreciate it. Nicto gifting 1. And another one? Did you gift another? Oh, it's just, no. It split it up. Check her Twitter. Whose Twitter?